just see like the pure unadulterated look of joy on his face after, you know what I mean? Where it's like, sure, like, right? But it's like, he bite the Texas barbecue,
We
you
have
just
all
see
of
like his mind
No
is transported to another fucking dimension.
All right. I didn't do lapel mics. I just mic this one mic. So just project your voice.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay. Whoa.
Yeah, you sit a little closer because you're not as loud as the rest of us.
We don't have
Give me a sound test, lady.
Hello. Oh shit, Clive Davis.
We're here. Yeah, I just
We're
I
doing-
saw that. I forgot to say
Doing,
that.
doing,
Yeah,
doing,
June.
Yeah. You know that car? You see that ever?
Yeah, I saw that too.
I get with the New York Times newsletters, and yeah, they send a special.
Okay.
Cool kids.
Everything. I mean, they get the NYU recording whatever department.
Yeah, was he a pedophile? Oh, it is.
No.
Oh, no, I thought you guys said you touched kids. I was like, wait, what?
No,
I was like, oh shit. And I was like, wait a minute. I did
Sorry,
not.
I didn't finish that thought. I
Chance was like,
thinking
he touched, and I was like, kid.
Okay, that's
Sorry.
like, wait a minute.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Everyone stop for a second. We're just doing a sound test. Just pretend you're doing the episode. Just talk.
Word. Okay, so I love the
Hey,
quote,
Will,
no rape could be more terrible.
I love lamp.
Yeah, Dune is so sick.
I love lamp.
What is diversity?
All right. Welcome everybody
Word.
to the Dune in June. Dune in June.
Dune in June. Dune in June. Dune in June.
We are gathered here today to talk about the controversial Dune sequel, Dune Messiah. Not well received when it came out.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredibly.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I think largely,
People were pissed.
yeah, and we'll get into that more later.
Probably wanted
but
the action.
Largely, I think it's because the way Dune ends, you kind of expect the next one to be about the war.
Right.
And then that is like barely mentioned at all in Dune Messiah. It's glossed over that 60 billion people died. It's not even really clear why, because Paul has already become emperor and he's unchallenged.
Right.
So it's not even obvious why 60 billion people had to die in the first place.
The jihad is left so amazingly kind of nebulous.
Yeah, we'll get into it. Let me monologue
Sorry.
for a sec. Let him cook. So it's not clear why that had to happen. It's also not clear how it happened. The Fremen are like pretty hand-to-hand combat. It's not obvious that this was done with like stone burners or like heavy artillery. So I kind of imagine that like they went planet to planet and like killed 60 billion people with hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
Which is gnarly.
They make a big deal of the thing, the Earthbringer, whatever it was called.
The Stoneburner.
Yeah, like it's
That's
completely.
specifically outlawed.
Yeah,
There's no AI, there's no nukes.
And if you do it, then everyone just turns on you.
And it's kind of like, depending on whether or not people have shields, it may literally just be like hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah. And they bring up specifically the battle with the Sardaukar on Dune, and then how like the Emperor can only have the one legion, and they kind of use that and extrapolate. They're like, they wiped out the Sardaukar on Dune, and then this legion just went for it.
Yeah. So that's what we're talking about tonight. Before we get into it, anyone want to plug anything? We got Chancellor Ruster, Catch Fire. You got anything coming up?
Yeah, we have a new single coming out. Rock and Roll Angels coming out in a month. It's looking good. Yeah, sounds really good.
And to my left is Mr. Will Hammond.
Hello.
Want to plug anything?
We have a tour coming up with Anastasia Elliott at the end of July and the end of August. Playing Holler Doom with the Absurd next month, July 10th. And yep. Stay tuned for more KV. We might be writing some more stuff. Eventually.
Logan?
I
We
don't,
got Logan
I
Dalton
don't,
over
I don't
here?
have anything to plug yet.
Okay. Well, stay tuned for CD Tracer. I'll plug it. I know you're like, stop talking about it. It's not ready yet.
It will be that.
Yeah. That's my way of keeping you on. Make sure you
I
do it.
know, right? Yeah.
And over here, we got Mr. Connor Spillane. Thanks for being here. Thanks again for filling in on Behind the Curtain the other night.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Nice. That was a good
Oh,
episode.
nice.
I am
Second appearance?
Yeah.
Cool. Hell yeah.
I never even told you guys the reason that I was even around on Saturday. The power went out at my work.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so
Oh,
we had to
damn.
close.
Okay, so you ended up doing the podcast.
Yeah,
dope.
that's
Yeah,
so
but it was by
That's
chance.
good.
No, the guys we had, like, they canceled. They didn't even let us know until it was already supposed to be showtime.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was fortuitous though. So that worked out.
Yeah.
We love them. They're cool.
Yes.
But
I was just gonna, I was just gonna come and crash the party and hang out. And Evan texted me and was like, or Alex texted me and was like, hey, would you want to actually do the episode? I was like, of course
Yeah.
I would. That's even
Nice.
better than just hanging out.
Dude, and Evan did such a good ass.
Yes.
job.
Oh, he always does. Okay, so the plug that I got, playing with Kesley Boo on June 27th, which is this Saturday coming up. Playing some guitar. So I'm stoked about that. It's a house party. So DM me for the address. That's really all I got coming up in the immediate future.
Music video.
Oh yeah, Winton's got Read Between the Lines coming out in July 17th, I think. That's our show for the release, so I'm assuming that's when it comes out. But I just exist.
Honor existing.
And then over here, we got Mr. Lazy Phalanges. He hosts our movie club podcast next month. Next month, we're talking about Across the Universe, one of my favorite movies. Excited to get into that. Anything else you want to plug? Cool. And then last but not least, we have Knife Bag, Mr. David Penna. He made this beautiful Shy Halou.
Can we get that in
It's
camera?
so cool.
It is so cool.
It's insane. And a Chris knife.
Yeah, he got that Chris knife and Shy.
It's like a legit knife. It's like
That's-
crazy. It's crazy. It's a legit knife.
Yeah. Yeah, he took a real ass knife.
Yeah, fucking amazing job, dude. Those
Yeah,
both
it's
are great.
I mean, you
See,
were there
that
when
was-
I was making the night.
It is ridiculous how talented David is at this kind of stuff.
I mean, it's pretty wide, so it might not show up well on the camera, but in the future, I might just make fantasy weapons just for fun. You guys
Dude,
want to like,
yeah, right?
you guys want to buy in here or whatever.
Yeah.
Are you saying I'm not gonna show up on camera? Chris
So Knife Back might be making knives for
Yeah, are you gonna be making bags?
It was foreshadowing.
Dude, I might have to. What is it? The barrel light knives and what are those like fucking Margot blades?
I mean, just send me a picture of what you want, and I'll tell you if I can do it.
Sick.
Any chance, I think I cut you off earlier. Is there
And
anything else
it'll
you
be
wanna
like, you
plug?
can actually use it as a weapon too.
Yeah.
Okay,
Nice.
cool. With
Mix
all
up
of
the
that out of
bits.
the way,
Yeah.
we'll
Middle
talk
Earth
about
style.
Dune Messiah now. I'm gonna step off camera for a sec. I'll leave y'all to it. I'll be right back. Go off.
So I think another first impressions.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Well, I was going to touch on also, I think, the reason why it was so controversial when it was released was because of how he treated Paul and Messiah. And a lot of people after the first book, I guess, like, did not get that Paul's not supposed to be the good guy. A lot of people thought that he was the main protagonist, like just your typical protagonist. And so the way that Frank Herbert sort of subverts the hero's journey, what he does with Paul and Dune Messiah, a lot of people did not like. Because aside from it being made very clear that he's not the good guy, Paul, for the most part, in Dune Messiah, is rendered pretty useless for like multiple.
He's,
Well,
he's
like,
stuck
he's-
on the path. Like he kind of knows that he can't really diverge. And for a big chunk of it, it seems like he's trying actively to keep Shawnee from getting pregnant because if she gets pregnant, he knows she's going to die. And that's sort of his main focus. It seems
And he
like
wants to
that's
try to-
kind of why he is inactive specifically.
And they also like there's a lot of cool, weird little things about Messiah that I like. One of them is like the idea of the tarot card game.
Yeah.
And so it's like people are dabbling in precedents, and it's sort of like a widespread thing at this point. Not as prescient as Paul or like a Guild Navigator, but like everyone is able, like when people are using this game and like tapping into that vein to some level, and because of that, it's sort of like it hinders Paul
His
or other people
ability,
because
yeah.
the more people, I believe he explains it. The more people that can access or tap into presence, the more hazy it gets for other people.
Right.
Now, granted, Paul's already seen like all these possible outcomes. To your point, he's trying to avoid one. doesn't.
Like,
go
that's
the
why they're
golden
using,
path, you
that's
know
why
what I
they're
mean?
using
Like-
Edric, like, in the conspiracy specifically to kind of block him.
Right.
And the thing with the tarot, I love too, because they talk about how the tarot specifically is a new version that's based on him and Alia, and like that is also kind of screwing him up.
Totally.
Because-
And one interesting thing, he could even see his own son.
Yeah. Like, he didn't
Right.
realize there was two children,
Right.
which that's the big
That's a
stepping
solid
off
point.
Yeah.
which I love.
Couldn't see Leto
Later,
later.
that's right. He just sees Ganima.
He knew about the daughter, which is interesting too, because Leto's the one who takes up the path kind of when Paul steps off.
That's probably why I can't see him though.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I think so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he does marvel in the end that they are born with perfect like understanding and prescience when they didn't get the water of life. Like, he's wondering, like, is it a product of the genetic component? Is this the Quetzal's Haderach? Is this the breeding program? Like, Shawnee didn't take the water
She
of
wasn't
life
part
like
of that.
Jessica did.
Right.
Like, she did the Fremen like fertility rituals and stuff
Right.
after she had been barren and all that, which may have had something to do with it. She may have gone there and taken a buttload of spice, but the fact that he leaves that unrevealed is interesting too. Like, we don't really know what happened, and it is
Power of
assumed that
love.
it's- Yeah, like it's a it's the just the genetic
Yeah.
component kind of a thing, and the love thing is a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, they constantly focus on the love between him and Shawnee. That's his focus. Even Duncan, that moment that he has with her when she's in labor, that's part of his kind of breaking, where he has that moment where he's like, she is an Atreides woman and I have to keep her from dying. That's another step on his path to like liberating himself. And I like that, like, he identifies Chani as an Atreides woman, even though bloodline she's not.
From-
She's a friend. Yeah.
With regards to being received poorly,
Mhm.
I'm gonna say, at least to me, and I did really like this one, but it seemed like it was tonally very different from the first.
It is. Well,
And the first time I read it, when I was
They kind of all of them are totally different as you go through the books. To me, right? Am I off
No,
base there?
no, dude, I think I've
every
made this-
single one is different from the other.
and
It's
not,
actually really
not only that, but like, dude, I think I've made this joke in the last two episodes. Frank Herbert kind of is like the Bob Dylan of sci-fi, where it's just like, you know that thing in the last book that you really liked, or that you were maybe really looking forward to in the next book.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
gonna
Like, we're just not going to do that.
I love
We're
it.
like,
I kind of like
I think that ties back.
respect the fuck out. Yeah, for sure.
It's well, dude. It's like my favorite part of the Herbert books is that he trusts the reader. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not holding your hand through fucking anything in any of the books. He just thrusts you in to this new reality every single time.
And that's it.
And well, again, he trusts you to kind of go on the journey with him to try and understand, and that like, yo, through the way he builds the story in the world, like you will understand if you're paying attention,
Right.
You know.
He gives you the pieces that you need, like we were talking earlier.
There's so
about
much
the little
foreshadowing.
A lot
snippets
of
from
stuff
like
gets
different.
hinted at. It
Yeah,
doesn't necessarily
it's-
slap you in the face, but it's like hinted at, and by the end of the story, it's like you can piece it together. Like, oh, okay.
There is an interesting thing with it because of the way I think, like in other mediums, like music or something, it's always like exciting to see people do different types of music, different works. But writers, I think usually, especially in a singular series, you expect it to be like a direct continuation.
Well, how does the
One.
music
and
to
also
the
like
point where you
publishers like want you to stay in one genre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they shoehorn you. Like you got to be in one
And
place
this is
in
a
the
really good
bookshelves.
big example of
Yeah.
breaking out of that. Like I said,
Yeah.
Every book is different. Like, this is way ahead of its time, and I didn't realize it at the time, but it's a direct response to Isaac Asimov's Foundation, which is like way more about reason. Like, that whole story is about like building a library of human experience that like will outlive humanity, and Dune is very much about like the fragmentary nature of power. Like the thing that Saito says about how the Tolaxu believe that in all the universe there's only the insatiable appetite of matter, that energy is the only true solid, and energy learns. Hear me well, princess, energy learns. This we call power. The Tolaxu believe that power like learns and coalesces and grows. But later on, Paul says, how can I explain that power fragments? Like, he has a completely opposite.
Which
view
is
of
what
power.
which is also what happens.
Right.
To Paul's reign with the Fremen, by the
Right.
way, right?
Well, in the end, I love how with initially him not going into the desert makes it feel like the Fremen will desert him, but in the end, him going into the desert solidifies their hero worship of him
But
and
it's-
makes him their god.
It is the story of the Messiah, right? Because the Messiah
Yes.
dies.
Right, right.
Like in every.
And he willingly sacrifices himself. He willingly goes into the
Yeah,
desert.
he's like forever. Like
like any Messiah. I mean,
Right.
they're,
Yeah,
they're,
yeah,
they're martyrs.
It's like
Yeah.
Elias says, he lives forever now.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah, I love that quote at the end. And
Same thing with Jesus, or I mean, pick any.
but I
Right.
do love, like you said earlier, about him being kind of the villain of the story and that interpretation. I do love that in his internal monologue, his internal reasoning, he understands that what he's doing is barbaric, but he also understands that number one, it's kind of the only way, and he's the only one who can see that, which is terrifying if you think about it. That everyone else is following his vision
Terrible purpose.
blindly. Right,
They
exactly.
call it in the first book.
And
Terrible
he,
purpose.
like, he could be wrong. We know he's not wrong, or at least we assume he's not. He thinks he's not wrong, but he also isn't willing to go the full distance either. He's not
Which is-
willing to become tired.
Right. He doesn't, he's seen the golden path, which we won't get into, but he doesn't want to do that.
Right.
He's just like, I'm not going to do that.
And the limits of prescience, like the way that with that conversation they have with like Irulan and Alia, where he says he's explaining like the limits of it, where they're like, why can't you just find the planet they're hiding on? They're talking about that sanctuary planet that like the navigators are hiding on.
Yeah.
And they're like, can't you just see into the future and find it? And he's like, no, it's not, it doesn't work that way. It is perfect. I can see the future, but it's not consistent. And then Irulan's like, that's crazy. How can that even work? And just the way that it goes back and forth. I like how it starts out with an interview with the guy who was writing a heretical history of
Yeah.
Moadib, and he's like explaining why it was barbaric and why the jihad was insane and all that. And that's-
Like so many of those opening quotes or excerpts into each chapter, I think of Messiah.
Mhm.
Messiah might be like my favorite of like favorite collection of those like excerpt chapters. Yeah. Also, I like how condensed Messiah is.
It's very
I think
concise.
maybe people like I don't know if people had an issue with that per se, but like you said it was written in response to Foundation. So again, like there's also aspects he wrote this as an epilogue of the first book because people didn't get the point of follow trade. So he basically like wanted to just make like it's not that long. How long? is it?
Well, he knew this was a bridge to number 3.
to
He
get to
had
Children
that.
of Dune.
Yeah.
So it's
We didn't, the people didn't know that, the public didn't know
Right.
that. Yeah, I love how concise it is. I
it's
agree.
concise and it's just like dude, it's the conspiracy against Paul. Here it is. We're not gonna like even though we're
It's less than a third
Introducing-
of the first one.
What?
Yeah,
It's like less than a third of the first
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
And what's crazy
he
about it
introduces
is
two new factions
Yeah.
they're
but
powerful as
even-
fuck.
with that. Yeah, but it's still like within this sort of slim scope of like it's the conspiracy against Paul. Paul can't really do anything about the Fremen at this point because
He's unleashed them on the world.
He knows they're out of
yeah,
control.
they're just religious fanatics. They're
From
out of
the-
control.
From the
Like,
beginning, and he knows that Alia being in charge.
and some of them are wanting to split off from him too.
Mhm.
Some of like
Yeah, there's the
I like how it deals with that. Like, I love the introduction of the Talaxu, the Benny Tlaylax. It's
So great.
brilliant. And then like, we really start to see the navigators, like that thing with Edric is really like, knowing that Princess Irulan is like a spy and he knows she's a spy, like the level of kind of back and forth and double and triple is so.
it's
really-
they're like state power. They're like the world government.
Yeah.
Conspiring to like defeat a god or
and
something.
they know like they each have their own angle too. They're not
Mm-hmm.
unaware of
I
that.
think
But it's sort of like the enemy of our enemy is
yeah. I mean, it's
You know,
very,
like,
and that's
so-
where you get into like the Cold War stuff. Like, he's like, okay, so like, yeah, Stalin, like Khrushchev's in charge now. He's, maybe a little nicer than Stalin, but like,
Right.
still gotta like.
I think it's funny how every character in Dune Messiah is like plans within plans. And they're like the glasses character. It's like scheming, and they're all idiots.
Yeah.
Like no one's plan works.
Yeah, I like how Saitel kind of constantly points out that Edric kind of and the Reverend Mother both at different times. He's like,
he just
you have
trolls
no
them, dude. He's just
idea
like,
what
yeah.
the
Well,
fuck is going on.
Well, that's like the
Irulan's
first big reveal
Yeah.
of Messiah
Irulan's
is
like,
Saitel flexing on him. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
like, no, I know.
And the thing about, hey, I love how he tells the story about, suppose there was a Sardaukar general that found the body of a sword master in Ohio. And suppose he recognized that body as Duncan Idaho. And suppose he sold that body. Like, he
Yeah.
goes through that whole fucking bullshit story about, and it's like, in the end, just to get to the point, he makes it so over dramatized. And the thing that Dave and I were talking about earlier, when they talk about hate specifically, because they bring him up in the meeting. They're
Right.
like, we have the body of Duncan, we cloned him, we made a Gola. And he says, a creature who has spent his life creating one particular representation of his selfhood will rather die than become the antithesis of that representation. And that's where they bring up, yeah, we made a Kusatara.
And it's a huge, and the Reverend Mother is shocked by that.
Yeah,
Because-
shocked.
The Benny Tlaylax are essentially like
Cloners.
an oversimplification, like the male version of the Benny Gesserit in a way. They do, like, they clone, they can make life.
It's all physical. It's like,
Yeah, they can,
All tech.
they're,
And it's important to remember, none of these
engineers,
factions are aliens. These are all offshoots of humanity that kind of evolved separately in different systems, and different kind of like philosophies over these thousands of years.
And Tlaylax Sioux are kind of despised by
Yeah.
most of the Imperium, but people put up with them because they offer a service that.
Like they
You're
talk
like,
about,
these
they
are
talk about
the
their
spies,
eyes,
the ultimate assassins.
Yeah.
like, yeah,
the
like,
face hunters specifically,
And
the
so-
eyes, their
right,
technology.
yeah.
So when he tells her like, oh, basically like you guys have spent thousands of years trying to create the Kwisatz Haderach,
We did it.
and it's finally here like we did it,
Yeah.
and we know how to kill it.
Whatever,
And she's like, what the fuck? And he's like, yeah, this is, you just basically drive it insane and you make it kill itself.
That's the best mic drop. It's not that we even made one, it's that we know how to.
We made one and we
Yeah.
killed it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, fuck, that's brutal.
Yeah.
That's
And
creating something just to like figure out how to destroy it, but then along the way realizing like, oh, he's just gonna crumble under the weight of this, and if we just keep driving him, he'll just kill himself.
I think Dunaside does this like paradoxical thing where it's so incredibly well written in the dialogue, and like I just really like the way Frank Herbert writes, but also it's so incredibly silly, like where it's like how do you take this seriously? This is insane, but also just like so beautiful. Like Irulan's big plan is like, I'm gonna give Cheney a contraceptive so she can't have a kid. The only drawback is if she ever stops taking it, she will immediately become mega pregnant.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, great plan.
That
That will definitely not backfire.
But somehow, yeah.
And it's like every plan is like that. It's like, oh, I've come up with this genius plan, and it's like the dumbest thing you've ever heard.
But like it's wild because you like go back and look at like history and stuff, like Henry VIII, like trying to get that heirs and all kinds of bullshit they went through,
it's
like to
they're all
get like
humans at the end of the day, and it's just like miscalculations and
Yeah.
human error. Like,
right.
Well,
And hubris,
I
yeah.
think
Yeah.
a big thing that I actually thought about it is that even though there's like this sort of coup plan to try to overthrow Paul, everyone's trying to serve their own interests. I think that's why so many of the plans don't work. Because you can get to points where like even Cheney is asking Paul to have a child with Irulan, which means Cheney and Irulan are more together about an outcome they want than Irulan and the people that are
the Tlaylax Sioux or
right.
Ireland
And the Twi'lek Sioux and Reverend Mother. And
they
all
don't want a
these people.
sandworm. They
Yeah.
don't want a fucking sandworm.
Yeah, I also
Like,
think,
that's
which,
one-
that was something the first time I read it, that it was like, oh, that's what, like, that was the
That's
first kind of hint that like the worms and the thing about moving the worms, and it's like, wait, if they turn the desert planet and they make it full of water, won't that kill the worms? That was the first time I kind of started to think along those lines of like, wait, if they turn this place into a paradise, it's gonna kill the worms, and this is the only place the worms live, this is the only place the spice comes from.
I like all the characters a lot. I think they're all great. Like I love that Silas and Saito and the Reverend Mother are just like, and kind of Irulan a little bit too, are like to Edric's face being like, you were not nearly as smart as us, and the only reason that you're here is because you give us the shroud of prescience.
And then,
Like that
and
is
then
the only reason.
and then they proceed to have the
They
dumbest
just put up
plans.
with it.
Yeah.
Well, and also.
And like they're all
The navigators are the ones who own hate, right? They're the ones who actually give hate to him. Like they bought hate from the Telex, which is
Wait,
interesting.
do they?
too.
It's not
Yeah.
Saito that gives it?
No, they bought, and that's part of the
Well, they're
massive
working together.
plot.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It's
That's part of kind of like the intrigue or whatever. And I like how they say
the
thing
guild
about-
trying to make nice or maintain some semblance of a relationship.
And he's such a bootlicker. Every time that Edward talks to Paul, when he presents hate to him, you know what I mean? And he's like, oh, but your emperor's shit. Like he's just such a little.
another plan that just doesn't work at all of them. but it's like, okay, I'm gonna shapeshift into this girl that Paul knew from the old CH days, and he's never gonna see it coming.
Yeah.
And then as soon as Scythill shows up, Paul just immediately susses it
Calls him out. Yeah.
not even close.
Yeah.
And then also it's like, we're gonna give him Duncan, Idaho, and that's gonna make him so crazy that he just loses his mind. That doesn't work. And it's like, okay, well, we gotta escalate this then. It's like, okay, well, we're gonna send the best character in the whole
Jazz.
series, the Jazz. My fate, like, oh my god.
Jazz is awesome.
Well,
dude. He's
so
good.
what
Dude,
I hadn't
he's
really
so-
gotten until now is I think really what the plan was, and I guess I did get this, but it's like they really wanted Duncan to unlock his memories, even though that's kind of a myth and hasn't been done before. Sightale really wanted that to happen so that they could prove to Paul that it could happen for Chani,
Yeah,
right,
so that they
that's
could
right.
clone
Right,
Chani
yeah.
and then give it to him, and then he would sign over his
No, you're right,
holdings
that was-
for all that
But
bullshit.
not only that, on top of that, so they can use it for themselves or in the future.
Right,
They
yeah.
literally found a way to revive it. For
Right.
people that.
Right, but it's one of those things that it hasn't ever actually happened before. They thought it might be possible, but they couldn't figure out the trigger. And part of it was programming him to do something that was inherently against his
Which
nature,
they-
which was to kill an Atreides.
Which
Like,
they foreshadowed earlier with the line you said.
Yeah.
Remember the line?
I don't know.
which part?
Yeah, you'll kill yourself rather than.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I don't know if this changes later, but the impression I got of the Bane Twilight is that they kind of just like experimenting and they don't really have an end goal.
well, even they say the thing about how their
Well, they-
concepts of good and evil are foreign. There's like
They-
a quote in there where it says that.
Later in the books, I think maybe it's Chapter House. They focus on the Twi'leks a lot, and then
Yeah.
they kind of reveal like who their god is, what they believe in, like what their end goal
They
was,
just
and
get
it's like
there
one of
and get
those
a lot
things like
more
they've
about
just been planning for thousands and thousands of years, biding their time.
Doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Yada yada yada. None of their other plans work out, so they're never able to like grasp power.
But the goal of Bane is a massive like plot point that, like the fact that he has
They're just
now,
like a bunch of,
that
like,
Duncan
bots.
specifically has done
Like
this. and
genetic
unlocked his
engineers.
power.
Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah.
You know that like
in
they-
Messiah, the impression I got was that they're basically like scientists, where it's like they don't have an end goal; they're just trying to like experiment.
And he talks about that. Sightell's like, yeah, we experiment. We do experiments.
They're just
Like,
playing around,
we're playing around. Yeah.
You want an arm? We'll get you an arm.
But then he also says like the thing about
Lose
that
your
Paul
love
says
of
about
living,
Bijou that he says like or
I
the
threw
jazz
it
that
off.
he's like
Yeah.
the Talaxi would never get rid of the tool. They would never dispose
Right.
of something that would be useful. Like and when the old Fremen guy gives Bijou to Paul, and he's like, yeah, he's using it as like a cover. He's like, oh, I bought him on some world or whatever. Like that's another part of the plot too, that they got the dwarf there somehow. Like it seems like he was almost like a backup plan.
Very Lynchian with Frank Herbert.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Like Ronnie
Oh, it's-
Rocket.
Yeah, the Jazz is very David Lynch. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what honestly, that's why I don't think it'll be a part 3. Although, like, it'd be so awesome to see him on the big screen. I really hope they do.
Yes.
It's
Absolutely.
Peter Dinklage stealing all the dwarf rolls.
No, it's like the little guy at the.
Uh-huh. The man from another
Yeah,
place,
the guy
yeah.
who just like
Yeah,
talks
that would
Not only that, but Jazz is like the best line.
Yeah, he's so.
Oh, he
What's-
really
what's
does have
the line?
one.
You're good at voice acting.
Okay.
Read that.
Oh, yeah. So when they
So
when they introduce Paul to Bijaz and he says, Usul, that's the base of the pillar. How can Usul be base when I am the basest thing living? He's such a little he has a,
He's
he has a
hilarious,
and
dude.
they say that they're
He's
like,
the
yeah, he
basest
says
thing
weird
living.
shit all the time. Like,
Yeah.
and he's constantly saying
Just
these
the
weird
puns
paradoxes.
are so good.
Yeah.
Like
I
they definitely like
I'm glad
you're
you
kind
brought
of
that up.
fading down the stretch.
I
and
need
he comes
that
out.
I need that line in the movie. That way people think it's Zoomer talk. and-
Yeah.
I know,
No,
yeah.
it's-
No, it's straight from the. No, but what's funny is it fits both ways.
Yeah. And
Dude,
they
he
bring
could
up
run TikTok, dude.
multiple
Like,
times throughout the story, they bring up how
Fucking
Usul
fake
is
ass.
like his secret name. Like Stilgar brings it up even at the end.
Yeah.
He says the thing about how like Usul was the name that we gave him, like between us. Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's his secret, like Bremen. And I do love that, Stilgar makes it out of this one. Like I again think that Bardem is going to be good about the deadpan stuff with Stilgar. I love the thing at the end where he's like, "Yeah, I killed the Reverend Mother and everybody else." I mean, he didn't want me to.
Oh, that's
Ali
right.
said it was fine. Like
Right at
Ali
the
didn't
end,
cool
he
too.
kills a bunch of people
Yeah,
on camera.
Yeah, he kills
That's
the
great.
Reverend Mother, he kills Edric, he kills all of the
Yeah.
hostages that they have, all the conspirators.
He's like,
except
I'm not-
for
not
Princess
playing
I'm
Iris.
assuming,
these
honestly, I wouldn't be
political games or
surprised if he shows that in part 3.
Yeah.
If maybe instead of just like that kind of being a off-screen death.
They actually show
Just show
Yeah,
Javier
actually-
Bardem being badass. You
It's
know?
kind of like
Because he
what's-
did that
And we're getting way
with
ahead of ourselves too,
Ravon.
'cause there's all kinds of stuff. we gotta-
Not only that would be like a good finale because all these assholes are getting fucking murdered and you're watching it.
when it comes to the movie, I would say if they're not going to show all the stuff that Messiah doesn't, what's the point of making a movie?
Right.
It seems like they will.
Yeah,
I think yeah. You know,
it'd be funny if it's just a bunch
It's
of
like
people in rooms
flashbacks.
talking
Like,
and they
who
don't
brought up-
show
what-
anything.
who brought
It's
up
straight
the
up just like a
first,
stage
10
play.
minutes? Oh, that was me.
Will,
Oh yeah,
Tell
yeah, you
Alex
got the
tell
intel.
Alex
Yeah.
about this. So the first 7 minutes they showed it at like CinemaCon or something like that.
Okay.
And it's not public, but it's like I was reading some things, saw it, and they were describing it. And basically, it's like all these Fremen being transported on a Gil Pylon to this planet that they're about to go.
That's not good.
And so
Not
it's all of
fine.
them doing that chant that's in the trailer, and it sort of just builds and builds. It gets super loud, very intense. Then all of a sudden, like the doors to the ship open, and it goes completely silent as they like float down into the atmosphere on this planet, and they get down, and it's raining.
Oh shit.
And so it's like the first
First
time they've
time.
ever seen
Yeah.
rain, like this specific group of people, like they've been off planet or whatever, so they've never seen rain. And so they're all mesmerized by it, and all of a sudden they just start getting fucking gunned down by these lasers, like whoever they're going to fight. And Stilgar's there with them too. And then it just ends up turning into like this big, like Saving Private Ryan type
They're
of
storming
thing.
Normandy.
Yeah,
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 oh, yeah,
basically it's
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
right.
like that.
They're trying to establish a foothold.
And
on
that's
the
how the
planet.
movie starts. So it's like,
That's
you know,
badass.
It's gonna be
maybe when
so
there's like
good. They're gonna show it,
flashbacks or
yeah.
present time that like they actually are going to show you the jihad.
because we don't, like, he never
That's
directly, it's after we kind of get it.
And in the book, it's what, 12-year time
Yeah,
jump?
yeah, it's
I think in the
about 12.
movie they're gonna do 18. So that's
Probably to make it less problematic with Aaliyah.
So to your
Yeah.
point about the rain, that was one of the things that I really loved, and I'd kind of forgotten about when Saitel goes to Farak, who's the guy's
Yeah,
name.
with the
Oh
ocean.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
the
a
ocean.
beautiful, the ocean's a
And
beautiful.
Farak kind of tells him, yeah, he's like, I wasn't in it for the jihad. I didn't believe in Moadib, but I heard about this thing called the sea. It's hard to believe about a sea when you live here among the dunes. And then like he sees it with the sunset. His son's lost his eyes, but I didn't really think about this until this time either. But his son isn't sent out in the desert either. So it's almost like he doesn't like. It's almost like he's sheltering his son
Mhm.
from that,
Right.
yeah, like possibility kind of.
Yeah.
And then I love the whole scene. It's like you kind of get this feeling from Saitel that like, is he gonna kill these people? He's probably gonna kill these people. And then by the end of it, he talks about how he gave the old man his way out, and now he's gonna give the son his way out. And he has this philosophy of like they always give their victims a way to escape the trap, kind of a thing. But then he ends up wiping them out, obviously killing them specifically for the thing.
Is that a Benny Quaylax thing?
Yes,
Like,
yes, they say specifically in that during the meeting, they say that I hear you Benny Tlaylax have a strange sense of morality. You always give your victims means of escape. And Saito says,
That's
yes,
very
if they can but see
karmic
it."
law. It's
Yeah.
very like demonic.
A little bit,
Right.
like if you could only see it, like that's like
Yeah.
spellcasting kind of. Yeah, exactly. It's really interesting. Like, so the two-pile treaty is the thing. I couldn't remember what it was called, but that's the planet where they're hiding, where he talks about the precedence, and Paul says, should we speak of fragmentation, the natural destiny of all power. So it's interesting that Paul sees like his power as destined for fragmentation, where like Saitel sees the power as a consolation, as a consolidation force, like it's coming together constantly. It's kind of interesting.
That is interesting.
I think it also kind of ties into how Paul starts seeing the way the Fremen have sort of, as they've moved into cities and now just less desert stuff, become kind of weak.
Yes.
Right. They get a little soft.
Yeah, like
Oh,
you're getting
but that's
soft.
so true of any empire, though, right?
Right.
It's like we're kind of
That's-
seeing that right now with our current state of the world.
But there's
It's like,
a bit of a like in his holy jihad where they're now the seat of power, they've also destroyed what made them beautiful.
And
Right.
we talk about how some of them
That's
given
so
themselves over to hedonism, like Alia brings that up, that it's some of the Fremen.
Well, think about like because it's based on this is I definitely like early like Islamic empire and like
Yeah.
like Muhammad and Abu Bakr, they were like on the run in the Arabian Peninsula, going from city to city, like living rough, and then a few hundred years later you have like the big the palanquin, the harem, all the money, yeah, like Then you get the Ottoman Empire.
And he
finally.
incorporated a lot of that.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Oh, he straight up calls it a jihad, which they refuse to do in the movies.
Yeah. It just
Yeah.
it's just changed so much from the
Yeah, they
'60s
say,
to
I
now.
think they say
whole
holy
war.
war.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because when this came out, like
I do love how
Oh, this
in
is
the
an old
film,
book.
in the
Yeah.
very first one where he has that vision in the tent and he says the thousands of people like, warring in my father's name, bowing in my name, killing in my name. And he says that here too, where he's like, they're literally like bowing at the shrine of my father's skull and killing. He knows like what's happening.
Terrible
he knows
purpose.
he's lost. Yeah, he knows he's lost control.
But also, I like the aspect of how in Messiah you find out like some criminals are getting soft,
Yeah.
getting mystic. Also, you have Fremen who they're on Arrakis, and their lives haven't actually gotten any better.
Right.
Yeah.
Paul and the Fremen are running the empire. They, certain people are maybe working their way up, gaining power. Not everyone though. And there's still a portion of people who are just stuck at the bottom, and they're kind of like, all right, well, fuck this guy. Like, it's supposed to be different from us, and we're not. And so, like, you get this sort of little fragmentation where, like, you start to have a group of people who were a group of Fremen specifically. They're also not following because it's just like, well, our lives haven't done it.
And because he's placed Alia as like the head of all of their
Right.
religion too, like
Right.
she's kind of taken the position of all of their individual reverend mothers. Like they kind
A
of talk
saint.
about that.
And
Yeah,
She is a saint.
yeah,
If I can
exactly. Yeah.
Right? Like,
add
Saint
on
Benai.
to that too, I really, really like the scene where it's actually from Paul's POV, but Aaliyah is giving that speech, the sermon.
Towards the
She
end.
read-
Oh,
yeah, she takes a huge spice dose, and like apparently she just does this a lot.
Yeah.
Is like a common thing that she does, but the one it shows, people are like asking her questions, and she's on stage just kind of like channeling and like doing like the charismatic preacher thing. And I thought that scene was so cool.
Yeah, 'cause he realizes like, wow, she's got it.
I wonder.
Yeah.
And she's also in a spice like trance whenever Duncan, like that whole
Oh,
chapter
yeah,
with
she
her and
almost
Duncan.
dies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where
They
it's
say that she almost
Yodis,
Yodis,
yeah,
yeah.
and he kind of keeps her, like pulls her
that's
back.
true.
Kind of. And they talked way earlier about how they specifically made Duncan for her. They're like, she's just becoming a woman. We made him to be attracted to her specifically. Like that was kind of part of the plan too.
I do really like not the very last scene with Aaliyah and Duncan. I kind of thought that like Messiah ended on like kind of a mid note, but some of the other conversations, like in the Ornithopter, I really do like some of the interactions between Duncan and Aaliyah, like their back and forth.
And there seems to be. And
Except the
she
last one.
wakes up like she constantly is bringing
That was
it out
pretty
of him.
bad.
Like,
He was just
the
like-
way that the dialogue goes back and forth and all those scenes with him, like really show you how his memories are being unlocked. And then even at the end, when like they're telling him kind of his history, they're like, "Can I tell you about how the Harkonnens massacred your family?" All this kind of stuff. And it's like they're prodding him and trying to get him to think about this stuff. The fact that they name him Hate, even though it's not spelled that way, it still sounds that way.
Yeah.
you
Well, that
know?
even happens at a certain point. I can't remember who it is, but someone says that they hate something,
Mhm.
and he misinterprets it as his. He's like, "Huh?"
Oh, it's probably Bijaz doing his
Yeah.
dropping
Yeah.
his puns.
And I love at the end, like after he hasn't really had his awakening yet, but he's right at the point where he's about to maybe try to kill Paul, and Paul keeps calling him Duncan over and over and over again. Every time he addresses him, he's like, "Tell me,
Yates,
Duncan."
which is
And like that, I feel like that's a big. That scene is so great. And he's like, "Who are you?" It's like, "I'm Duncan. I have like, dude, that,
What's cool about Hate too, like that whole Gola thing. What's so cool about that is not only is he a Mentat, he's also Zinsuni.
Yeah.
So it's like he is a human calculator that speaks in poetry.
Yeah.
Like just speaks in riddles, but also has the ability to like be like a mega calculator.
And they made him a Mentat specifically. Again, that's part of like the unlocking process. He's like, they thought that his brain wouldn't be able to like process it right unless he could be analytical.
That might be true, especially if you're recalling past memories. You might have like a limit in your brain.
Yeah. And so they talk about constantly how they made him a Mentat specifically. Like, why would you do that to somebody who already had all these other aspects that were like, insanely powerful? I mean, he's master of the galaxy. And all that kind of thing. And then the deal too about, again, his like depth of feeling of service, like that's like the core of his being. Great, it's kind of preservation.
The part where I knew he was Duncan was when he called him Duncan.
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a good.
The
That was such a
phrase.
hard.
I'm telling you, man. Yeah, like
That part
Robert,
is-
Yeah, that hit. I'm like, he's back. Like, yeah.
that whole thing.
Yeah,
And especially because he's just left Shawnee's side, and then right after that, they come to him, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm Shawnee's side." Like they don't even. It happens so fast. Like that was one of those things for the first time. Like the first time I read it, one of the first things I ever had to go back and reread. I was like, "What?" Like,
They
hold on.
did that, and they did that with his eyes too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, he's blind now. It's like,
Hold on.
That's see,
Hold
see
on,
that's
hold on.
where
Yeah.
that's where
What
I got that,
happened?
I got that Matrix Revolutions connections because like Neo gets blinded in the third film.
And I remember the first time I read this, and I'm like 18, and I loved the first one. It was this hero's journey kind of a thing.
Right,
And this,
like-
the first time it was very jarring. It was like, wait, what? And he's blind, and he's handicapped, and he's
Yeah.
like gonna die.
But the best thing about him
It's
being
so
blind,
real.
though,
It's so it's like
the best thing about
Yeah.
him being blind is that, like, because he's already seen everything,
Yeah,
that he's like going around and still calling out shit.
I love that.
Yeah,
Like, there's the one thing
yeah.
where he like tells the guy, he's like, "Hey,
You still have the dust from the outside.
yeah." There's like
yeah.
he comments on
Oh,
the
that was
dude's
great,
suit,
yeah.
and the guy, and everyone's just like, "What the fuck, bro?
Yeah.
Like, you
And
have no eyes, dude."
To
Like,
that, he's like, if they
He's
do
He's
like
like,
that,
he's
flying
like
the-
seen everything.
he's
He's like,
flying
I'm
the
committed to
doctor.
this path.
Yeah.
I've seen this path.
like he says whatever.
if they do that scene in the movie, kind of similar to the way they did the scene in part 2, where he's like, he says, goes into the big group of people, and he's like, I am the least on Al-Gaib, and then he like points out to different people, and he's like, your grandmother died, and this and that. If they do that scene,
Oh, they're gonna do it.
this scene
they're gonna
is
do
similar to that,
Yeah,
that would be really
Timmy
kinda
built
cool.
for that. Timmy's
Yeah.
built for that.
I love when Paul's like has empty eye sockets flying a
Oh,
helicopter, and they're like, "I'm not getting," and he's like, "Yes, the fuck you
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
This is the fucking
It'll
helicopter
be all right.
right
I
now."
know where we're going. It's okay. Yeah.
Not only that, he's already done it.
He's
Yeah,
like,
he's
"How-"
already seen it. So like
Mhm.
he's just like he's committed to that
Yeah.
vision. He's like, all right, we're gonna.
He's
But
just like
then
raw
once
sockets
What's
out
interesting
here.
is once he loses his eyes, he's really stuck. Like,
Yeah.
he knows
Yeah.
kind of that it's like, well, now she's definitely
Right.
You know, kind of
and
thing.
he saw all this coming.
Actually,
I said no one's plans work. Paul's pretty much he like picks the
Yeah.
best outcome and followed through on it.
and I do love that he's never surprised until the second day. Like everything else is
Yeah.
like, yeah, I know. And Ollie's like, I gotta tell you
Do
something.
you
He's
remember
like,
the
"Yeah, I know."
scene where Cheney is like, she realizes that she hasn't discussed with Paul that she's pregnant with twins, and then she's like, but I mean, he must know,
Surely,
right? Like,
yeah, right,
like
yeah,
he knows everything,
Right.
so there's really no point me telling him. And then she dies without telling him.
Yeah.
So, like, he's like, what the fuck? What's this other
Yeah.
baby?
And to speak to what you said about the conciseness of it, his writing's so great. It's just like boom, boom, there it is. Like, oh wait, there's 2 babies. Holy shit! Like,
And once his son is like actually like awakened,
Yeah.
Paul loses his sight.
I
completely.
understand.
Yeah. Once the track's done, exactly.
It's like very clear to me why someone wouldn't like Dune Messiah. Personally, I really do like the it's very like the Song and Ice and Fire books, where it's like the big battle will happen, and the part that you see in the books is them talking about it afterwards, and it's mostly dialogue. Like the Game of Thrones show, it like actually shows a lot.
Yeah.
Of
Oh, that's
fighting.
really. I was thinking that
On
too.
some level, you have to.
Yeah.
Well,
You know
if
what
you're
I
doing a
mean?
show,
Like,
I think
yeah, if
you
you're doing a
should.
show or you're doing
right?
a movie, it's like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I
you're
actually
right, like
really-
the way the books are written, it's
Yeah.
kind of like
Well, because how do you write like a big battle?
you
Like
get it
that?
after the fact. Yeah.
I mean, some people try. I think like in
I think
creative,
in the first book, I do think that the action scenes are well written.
yes.
That's because they're so small
The
scale.
first
they're
Dune
like-
has a lot more action in it. Dune Messiah, very little happens, and the things that do happen off camera, and it's just them talking about it. Which that's a big like no-no in any like that's like creative writing 101 is show don't tell. So Frank Herbert like breaks all the rules for Dune Messiah. That's the
This
opposite
could have
of
been a
what
great like stage play.
Yeah.
They could've-
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
they could've- yeah.
Exactly.
Well, they call
It's
it
very interpersonal. Like,
Yeah.
Dune is described. I can't remember.
Space
who-
opera.
It's a, yeah, it's a space opera.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah, but space opera is like crazy, big technology. Yeah, I think someone I was looking at it. They called it like a chain. This book like a chamber western.
Uh,
Interesting.
the Chamber West.
I don't even know, man.
I wonder if there's a little bit of distinction between like, if you're a fan of the first book, you might not like the second book, but if you're a fan of Frank Herbert, you're gonna like the whole thing.
Yeah,
But you're just
But
like,
you might not know exactly what that is when you first
Yeah.
start reading.
yeah, absolutely.
I thought Hell's Pod was really good. One of his other books, not part of the Dune series.
Have you
Oh,
read
interesting.
some of his other stuff? I never have.
Anyway,
He's written a ton of stuff. No,
that's
but
besides the point. I just mean I like Frank
Yeah.
Herbert. You know,
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about sci-fi.
I would actually be really interested to read other Frank Herbert
Yeah.
besides this.
He's awesome.
Because like
Yeah.
one of the things that actually stuck out to me was reading Dune Messiah. I was like, it almost feels like it was written by somebody else.
Hmm.
Because the tone is so different.
Well, again, to me, like that's every Dune book. That's almost like
Yeah.
Will said. It's like he's like the Bob Dylan of sci-fi.
Well, I think that's the thing though, is because that's all I have to go on. I didn't
Yeah.
I didn't realize no, Frank Herbert is not the same thing. You know,
Yeah,
I wonder if like the time span is like part of it. The fact that it took how much time between Dune 1 and Dune 2?
Like Dune 1 and
It's a
2
few
were
years.
pretty close, but then 2 and 3 were a longer gap, and then between 3, 4, 5, and 6, it was like he didn't finish until like the 80s. So
So like maybe
Oh,
he,
damn.
he gave him time to like like change and like do
Yeah.
something different.
well, because he was probably involved in like making the movie. And
I
just-
mean,
and just-
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, he was involved with the David Lynch. Apparently, he got one for Lynch. He did
Yeah.
some of the writing on it,
Was he involved at all with the Jodorowsky?
No.
Dude, I wish that that would have been
That
one
would
of
have
the
been a sick.
greatest films of all
Well,
time.
With Mick Jagger as
apparently-
Dave Ruther. Oh yeah,
Yeah, that would have been literally like, yeah.
Apparently, also the David Lynch film.
and Salvador Dali was there.
They took creative control from Lynch.
Yeah. Oh, they did. Yeah,
and
the
that's
studio.
why he
The
did-
studio
that's why he
edited
did
things
that.
out.
The edit
Yeah.
that
oh,
got
yeah.
released, like
Yeah.
who knows how that
If he would have
spread
been
out.
allowed to
Just
do
cook.
it,
Yeah.
So apparently, if I'm not mistaken, I think I read somewhere that like the initial script was like 10 hours.
Mhm.
From Lynch and Frank
You're right,
Herbert,
you're
which,
right,
like,
you're right, you're right,
makes
you're right.
total
Oh,
sense,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And I would fucking watch that, but the studio was like, all right, guys, here's out. Can't do that.
No.
streaming doesn't exist.
We gotta sell fucking toys,
Dude,
Ewoks
like
or
the
whatever.
sound weapon thing.
Yeah. It's
We gotta
not-
sell- we
I
gotta sell
hated
toys.
that, dude.
Yeah,
I hated that. But oddly enough, like a lot of Lynch's movies, like the dialogue is ripped straight from the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Having said that, I think Villeneuve's movies, despite big changes, capture
The tone.
the tone and the vibe of the first two.
Yeah.
that-
It feels like
We'll see how he does for part 3.
Yeah.
Um,
That's where it's gonna get.
You have to
dark.
land
See,
the
that
plane.
to me-
You have to
Especially
land the
Momoa.
plane.
Especially Momoa. Like
Exactly.
To me, it's what they do
Yeah.
next. They
Yeah.
have to nail the next one.
yeah. Especially like
I got fingers crossed on him because the whole thing is it rides on him.
yeah.
I mean, Dune Messiah is super edgy, so I think the chances of that are like really slim, like really fucking slim. But fingers crossed. Hopefully, I'm wrong about that.
No, I think it'll work. If, what he's talking about is right. If they do the flashback action stuff, then it'll sell it to everyone.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think-
Then people be like, oh, this kicks ass.
Honestly, dude, I think that could be a good way to show and tell the story of Paul almost being rendered useless or not having a lot of options or moves at his disposal at this point. It's like showing the flashbacks of the war and how they got
Right.
there. I think they'll probably they do this in the first movies. I think you'll see glimpses of the future.
Yeah.
I think you'll probably see his kids.
Yeah.
In some
Like one scene.
age, you know what, like
Yeah.
being 7 or 8, I think they're kids or maybe they're teenagers. I don't know. But I think they'll probably tell a lot of the story through flashbacks and visions.
Well, maybe
Okay.
even like because and
Well, like,
I
you're
don't
gonna
see
show
it too far ahead, but like Leto projecting his consciousness like backwards in time when he sees through the baby's eyes at the end to throw the knife.
Oh, such
like,
a cool scene.
That's dope.
probably
Yeah.
That was
they did the
sick as
same thing
fuck.
with Ali in the last film.
Right,
where
right,
they-
that's
they
such a
showed
cool,
the
like,
baby in the
unique
womb
way
talking to
to-
him, and they showed her.
That
in
was
the
so
future.
cool.
It feels like that's probably how they do.
That part is awesome.
Because
Yeah.
Scythel's a great film.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Yeah. Pattinson's gonna eat.
Yeah,
you.
I-
It's like-
I
think
get it,
that's-
yeah, bro. I
yeah,
think
that's
Pattinson's
good
gonna
for that
It's gonna be
crush
very
Scythe.
interesting.
Wait, who's Scythe?
Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
Yeah, dude, like-
What? That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I
Yeah, yeah,
was-
he's not playing the shapeshifter in the Odyssey. He's playing the shapeshifter in Dune.
No, 'cause
No.
when you give him a serious role, that guy's good.
Dude,
And
Brad,
just
he's
the
great.
way
He's one of my
he
favorite
looks.
actors,
Yeah.
like
It's
currently.
a great actor.
Yeah, I love
so
Robert
good.
I'm worried about the Odyssey.
The way
Oh my god, that looks like fucking
The
dog
way
shit.
Robert Pattinson looks in Seitel in the trailer, when I saw that, I was like,
That fucking haircut and shit.
I'm
and-
back
and
on
the
board,
way it
dude.
describes
I'm
it in
back
the
on
book where
fucking
he's like,
board with
he
it,
adopted the face of like an idiot, and then Paul's like, it's intentionally the face of an idiot, but the eyes are laughing. Like, I love how he can see behind the eyes.
Oh, yeah.
He's gonna be.
He's gonna have so much more fun
Yeah.
in that versus
Oh,
being
yeah.
like a suitor.
His lines, like all of his monologues, everything Seitel
yeah.
says is brilliant.
because
Well,
the
Seitel is a really good
Playlax,
character.
like the Playlax were like a very interesting group of people. Like that's kind of like the Harkonnens in the first book. Like the Harkonnens are such cunning villains. They're such a good antagonist, right? For what they represent, yada yada yada. I think the Twilight Sue and Seitel, they bring that and do it aside.
And I like how it shifts from like the
He's cunning.
barbarity of the Harkonnens to more like the
The way,
deviousness.
They're cunning, yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you find out later in the series like what they actually do, it's just like,
Yeah.
bro, that's
Damn.
fucking heinous. dude.
Not to
Like,
derail too much, but
You
that,
said we wouldn't, so I'm,
Yeah,
I'm trying to
like-
keep us on, dude.
no, like what I'm about
Look,
to say.
goddamn,
I don't
no,
want
talk
to
about
derail.
it.
what he's gonna say.
What I want to stay on what you're saying. I don't want to derail with what I'm about to say too much, but you got me thinking about every clan and tribe in the Dune series is very unique. Like,
Yeah.
like nothing before or after it. Like everything is very novel and interesting. Like the Benny Twalax, the Benny Jesuits,
The Ixians who
the
have like,
Ixians.
they do
The guild.
Yeah.
the
The
technological
Harkonnens.
That
type
whole
of shit
thing
that kind
The
of,
Dixon technocracy, like that's
Yep.
really interesting. And then there's more too.
The
That's
Guild
what's great, is he
Navigators.
keeps introducing more factions that are just.
Like every single one of them has a really interesting and novel
I think
thing
it,
that they do.
it all stems from the fact that there's no computers. So like,
Yeah.
so you have, and trade and everything is so regulated that basically you just have certain institutions or certain groups of people that develop a skill, and it's like they're the ones that basically have the monopoly on that. It's
Right.
not widespread. It's
Right.
not a competition. It's like
They developed it kind of.
if someone you love died and you want to bring it back, you can go to the play like Sid.
It's like tradesmen, like they're all locked into their
Yeah.
specific niche.
They earn their position too. though.
If you want to go to war with another great house, the only way that you're doing it is you got to pay the guild, and the guild's going to transport you to a planet that may or may not have the people you're warring with also on that highlighter, and no one's going to fight on the guild highlighter because you're not going to jeopardize.
Their independence is super interesting. Yeah, like
Yeah,
I think
so
the other
every,
thing that Frank Herbert does so well is that each of these different groups, when you hear them talk, they have their clear, like they have very clear different philosophy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like you'll hear one of them will talk about philosophy, and then another one will talk about philosophy that's completely different. It never feels like it's Frank Herbert telling you his philosophy.
he does a
Like-
really good job of tying
That's
all of that
interesting.
in together in books
Yeah.
5 and 6 too.
Yeah.
Like it gets to a point in Chapter House, Benny Jesuit and Benny Twalax, there's a reveal that happens, and you're just like, man, bro, that's fucking sick that you've been building this whole time, and then this is.
And it goes back to 2 to 3 books earlier where it's like he seeds these ideas and he does such a good job of the foreshadowing and like plants the idea and then it kind of will go and you'll be like, oh yeah, he talked about that one thing a while back. And yeah. And the timeline is so interesting too. Like this was the first thing that I'd ever been exposed to that had, other than Lord of the Rings, which I read and I understood there was a history there, but this is totally different. This is like the active story takes place over hundreds of thousands, like 100,000 years, like from one point to the next. You know, the first couple are really condensed, but then it's like it goes for
The
such a long time.
comparison to Middle Earth too is interesting because like, yeah, like in the Silmarillion, like our current era exists within that universe, like in the future. I think.
Yeah, because it's like
Yes,
a
yes,
mythical past.
Yeah.
It's like kind of
Right.
yeah, it's like a past because Tolkien wanted to make like a true mythology for England.
Yeah.
The King Arthur stuff is all Welsh or like French.
French.
And Dune is like that, but the opposite, where it's like the golden era, like our current era exists
Yeah.
within the Dune universe.
Yeah, that
We
was
talk about the Orange Catholic Bible.
Yeah,
Right.
that's so interesting.
Oh
to me.
yeah. Okay, so like that scene, Paul is like, so Stilgar, I need you to study the golden era,
The history of Old Earth.
the history of Old Earth, particularly these two guys, these two silly little guys,
Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan and Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, so that's most akin to what I'm about to do. This is after he's killed 60 million.
Right.
Yeah.
He's like, those guys chumps.
He's like,
I get.
Yeah.
I think.
Chunk numbers.
yeah,
Those
Stilgar was
are
like, why are you having to
rookie
look him
numbers.
into this Hitler guy? He only killed 6 million. And he's like, yeah, but like he did it with such rudimentary technology compared to what we have.
No, the funniest Stilgar line in that part is he mentioned 6 million. Stilgar thinks, oh, by himself.
What a minuscule.
Yeah, that's right. He's like, like
That's
he
pretty good,
killed
yeah.
six- and he's like, no, he fights like I do.
Nah, he was a
yeah,
bitch.
he fights like I
He's like,
that's
he
what
was a
says.
He's like, he fights like I do. I send my armies out.
Yeah, yeah.
But the fact that that even entered his head is like,
That he was a warrior.
He's like, oh,
who did
he
it
killed
himself.
6 million
Yeah.
people.
that means his own numbers got to be pretty like high up.
Those
Oh,
are rookie
so
numbers.
How
Gotta
many
pump
people
those
have
numbers
Stilgar
up.
actually?
Yeah, how many people?
Oh
Stilgar
yeah,
killed?
yeah.
Damn.
I think it's also a weird number to point out because that's not how many people died from the Germans.
That is a weird thing for Frank
Right.
Herbert to say.
So what is Paul's plan specifically that he's looking at?
Yo, that's a crazy point. He's like, yeah, Hitler killed 6 million. It's like, well, that's not exactly like it was
Well,
more than that.
That's kind of a conservative number, isn't it? Yeah.
And to be fair, they probably don't even have perfect history of everything.
Well, that's what he says. He's like, you have to look into the history of old Earth, but it's super fragmented.
Yeah.
Like, there's only certain little bits that have even survived.
because it's
from
like just
the
been
history of
so.
Earth.
fucking
Yeah,
long.
because Earth is completely destroyed at this point. They don't really.
So they might have just seen like, oh, 6 million Jews and just assumed, oh, that's the total number or something.
Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes also is when he makes the Reverend Mother walk.
Oh, yeah.
You have to know how cruel I am.
Yeah.
That build up where she's like, she knows what's up too. It's like she was told to never return to Dune, and then she's ordered to get off the ship, and she's like, well, if I follow this order, it's in contradiction to another order I've been given. So is he like just gonna kill me when I get there?
Yeah.
And then the walk is like she's like really old and frail, and it's like she's having to walk this super long distance, and it's the most gaudy, like massive structure. Like going to see Paul and his council is like before you even get to him, it is like this buildup that just creates like you feel so small in the presence of this insane architecture, and that like
The way he
very
des-
holy.
The way he
Yeah.
describes it too is pretty cool. You
So
get
cool.
the sense of scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause he's
It's
posted
like-
up. He's posted up with his like entire guard too. It's like,
And then when she gets there, Irulan and Cheney aren't there. And Paul is famous for always having Cheney and Irulan in his council.
Right.
This is like the one time where he's holding a conference and Cheney and Irulan aren't there. So it's like a big slap in the face too. But who is there is Aaliyah, who is the abomination. That's
Abomination.
the Reverend Mother can't stand Aaliyah. She scares the shit out of her. And it's like, yeah, Aaliyah's present, and she immediately, like, her and the Reverend Mother start, like, kind of mind melding. It's like they're on the same page, but they're on opposite ends of this conflict. I love that scene so much.
oh, you know who else was there? Stilgar.
Yeah,
Stilgar was
And
there.
there's probably that moment that he's like, she's on this planet. I'm gonna kill it.
Yeah.
Like, she's not good enough.
Someone here actually follows rules.
Yeah.
The
Stilgar is
s-
awesome.
The scene that I really love that's between Haight and Alia is the one where he kisses her, and that whole description where he says, she's like, you presume too much. He's like, I presume nothing. I take nothing which is not offered to me.
Yeah.
I will not take all that was offered. And
Yeah.
it's constantly talking about her internal monologue where she is into him. And
Right.
she's putting up this front of like, you know, you're doing this, you know, you're committing treason or whatever, like you're committing heresy. He's like, yeah, both of us know that's not true. Like,
Yeah.
I love how he
That
kinda
seems
calls her
super
out.
cool, besides the fact that she's 15. That seems
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. But and I mean, he does really go out of his way to explain like she had perfect awareness in the womb. Like that's a wild concept.
They're doing the whole
Crazy cope.
9,000
it
year
is.
volley.
Yeah, it is cope.
I mean, it's like just the time period, like stories and stuff.
I do think Frank does make it a little weird. If you
Yeah.
like her where she trains naked and she doesn't really.
Oh
That's-
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Super weird.
It's like,
Yeah,
and then
for
Paul and
sure.
Stilgar come in.
Yeah,
and they're like,
I mean,
"Why
then
is
I
she
don't
doing
know.
this?"
And that could
It's
be
like, oh, she doesn't realize she's horny, even though she has all this, like, she's an adult in the. She has all
Yeah,
this
that was a
adult
weird
pre-existing
scene.
knowledge, but she doesn't know she's horny.
Yeah, you're not.
She's
wrong.
okay.
And remember,
Yeah, that's
she's
why
already,
it's like it's not exactly necessary.
Yeah.
It's like,
Dude,
not wrong.
the entire book is just a massive fuck you. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you like Dune? Fuck you.
That's true.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah,
I
no,
love it.
definitely
I,
he's- yeah,
I think
he's-
Messiah is awesome.
He is, I guess, making it pretty clear in Messiah, like, I guess with Paul, what he thought about the beginning. That one people kid. And also just like a lot of aspects of the first one, the world building and sense of scale. It's just not that in the second. Like in each book, there's a version of that. Where it's just like whatever you liked about this last one, that's not gonna
He
be.
definitely brings the scale down.
Oh, you want to know about this character? Here's a 4,000-year time jump.
Jessica's not even in it
Like,
until
you know,
like
like-
she just writes the letter. I love the
Oh, yeah,
letters that
she's like,
Jessica
yeah.
writes.
Oh,
Like
And the
things-
fact that it's a letter.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that Alia like has all those feelings about it, where it's like she can feel like by touching the paper, kind of like what her mother's. And like, there's a couple of things that she says in that letter that are really good about like the nature of government and how like religion will turn. I highlighted it, but it's like you cannot govern without laws. Your laws eventually replace morality, replace conscience, replace even the religion by which you think to govern. Sacred ritual must spring from praise and holy yearnings, which hammer out specific morality. Government, on the other hand, is a cultural organism, particularly attracted to doubts, questions, and contentions. I see the day coming when ceremonies take the place of faith, and symbolism replaces morality. Symbolism replaces morality reminds me a lot of like the virtues of, like, you know, just kind of in general.
it's aesthetic, it's all aesthetics.
Yeah, and it's all about the appearance.
Well, that's why, man, I was talking to somebody and they were like, talking about Star Wars, and I was like, oh yeah, but like, Star Wars. Really just George Lucas reading Dune and being like, what if I just rip this off, but dumbed it down, and the person was like, yes, how could we do without the thousands of pages of political intrigue? I'm like, but that's the best fucking part.
Yeah.
Like that, that's my point though. You just made my point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a shit about Star Wars. Star Wars is fun, but it's like the whole point of Dune is like absolutely subtle, complicated philosophies that's laid out for you, and not shoving it up your ass, being like, "This is what you're gonna believe."
Right.
It's
like
just
you
like,
put
hey.
the book down and you walk away for a day. And like when I was reading the first one and this one too, those little excerpts from like the Orange Catholic Bible and the hymns of hate and all that kind of stuff, I would think about that like a day later and be like, oh, man, like,
But I feel like part of the point of Messiah is like the overarching theme of the book, which is like, hey, thousands of years, not millennia, have passed since our time. Millennia have passed since the next book, or since the last book, and yet things don't really change. History continues to repeat itself over and over and over.
human
Because human
nature
beings,
continues to repeat itself.
because human beings are human beings, and
I still haven't really processed, and I can't like really articulate why, but like Dune Messiah is like so important to me. Like this is the second time I've been through it. And like in a way that Dune and even Children of Dune isn't, where I'm like, I just like, I find it so entertaining and engaging. Like I would go through Dune Messiah again. I don't know if I would go through Dune again. But part of it, I think, is because it's so punchy. Like nothing happens, but every scene I find extremely compelling in a way I can't really explain. Just the writing and the way he says things and the conversations, I just love every minute of it. It's so good.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of like really good writers basically will write like David Mamet, for example, will write like pretty much dialogue is combat, and see that in this as well, which is crazy because like the first book there's all like the action scenes and stuff. And he's like, oh, just kidding, dialogue.
I love that.
You know what
last
else
scene.
is like that too? It reminds me of when we did Franny and Zooey. You were on that one, right?
I wasn't.
Okay, like that.
But yeah, Salinger,
Salinger's all
his is-
dialogue.
Well, I mean, to your point, past a certain point in an empire, dialogue becomes the battle.
right,
you know?
right, yeah.
Certainly.
I mean, it's kind of
towards
where
the
we're
top.
at now.
Well, that's what I mean,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And it's same thing with ancient Rome before it fell, et cetera, et cetera, throughout history.
It does seem to me that in Messiah, part of it, of all the dialogue, that what future anyone even wants in the question. But like, this is kind of like, well, let's say whoever, let's say Betty Pilots or whoever took power, what would they even do?
Right.
And there's sort of like a battling of
And
philosophy.
they don't even really
about,
know,
like,
but it kind of maybe
what
want the
who's
status
gonna
quo.
want.
Yeah.
And then you have Paul, who's the one who's actually in power, and he hates it.
Exactly.
Because of the golden path, he
And
knows.
he has the farthest actual vision of like
He,
where
he
this
probably,
is
he probably
going.
understands that if any of these other groups take over, it's the end of humanity.
Right. Right.
And it might take me killing like 60 billion people to prevent their.
And that math is what's so like exponentially and eldritchly like terrifying about the story is that he sees this very narrow path where it's like you have to let this happen, you have to let these atrocities happen in order to save humanity, because otherwise they will all die.
Yeah.
We will become extinct. And like there's aspects of the story later that it's like he definitely saw those things also, which we don't know what those are yet. We just know that humanity will become extinct unless he does what he thinks is right. But then there's that also that major caution that I think he was constantly writing from, which is like, yeah, but how do we know that what he knows is right? Like because we are exposed to like the author's omniscience, I think we're pretty confident that Paul has actually seen the future, but Paul is questioning himself constantly. And it's like, am I right about this? Like, I can see the future. I still think I'm wrong about this.
Well, especially because he is wrong about certain details.
Right.
Because it's not perfect.
And he
Like the
sees
jazz.
those things.
Yeah.
He knows, like, that's the first time where he's like, he saw himself going there and leaving with the names of the conspirators, but he didn't see how he got the names. And now he's leaving with this little fucking computer that can see and remember everything that he sees and remembers. You watch that, Connor?
Sorry?
Oh, no, I thought he was.
I was just gonna say that was part of one of the studio's things with Lynch is like, when Lynch met Herbert, he was like, how do we put the jazz in the first movie? He has to be there.
He loves it.
Anyway, sorry.
No,
What
that's
were you gonna
really-
say, Alex?
that's-
I don't remember. That's okay.
Oh, damn it.
Dude, I love the jazz. I kept telling Lazy, I'm like, you haven't even gotten to the best character yet, but you'll know. You'll know immediately. He's like, so are you talking about the dwarf? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course I am.
So I love, so the last, like, I mean, not even half of the book, it's like the last maybe quarter of the book is where it like shit goes down. Like everything's kind of building to that, and then it's like he goes and he gets the dwarf, and then he's having the meeting, and then boom, the stoneburner goes. Like it's just like that happens. And I like that because that seems like very realistic as far as like actual warfare, like an actual terrorist attack, like what would actually happen.
Doesn't he know
Yeah, he knows it's coming.
that it's an attack is coming, like on this, like he's about to get ambushed?
Yeah, he knows it's coming, and I think he accepts it because again, it's like he has gotten to the point where he doesn't want to become the tyrant, and he knows that, but he knows he can get still to that point. Like, it's a weird thing. Like, and I love his trepidation. Like, he's conflicted constantly. I love that character aspect about him.
Yeah.
That he's constantly like analyzing himself, constantly kind of second guessing himself, even though he has this prescience aspect, which like I don't know, makes the character way more compelling.
There's right, because it's not just like he's not overpowered in a
Yeah,
sense. So he can see all these things, but like
He's trapped.
he doesn't necessarily know which one will come true and which one won't at that point. And at a certain point in the book, it becomes clear. But like, there's all these possible outcomes, right? And he may be seeing the same thing, with just slightly different, like just subtle differences in each vision, right? And so it's like he doesn't necessarily know what it's going to
And
be.
like you
It's
said,
a way
he
to
didn't
make
see
it
the
more
dwarf, so he starts seeing these things that he doesn't see. I
Right.
didn't see that. Like, oh, okay, what's gonna happen next that I don't see? And then like him using his prescience to see after he loses his eyes is such an interesting concept. He tells I think Stilgar, he's like, because somebody asks like, did Stilgar escape? And he's like, yeah, Stilgar escaped. He's gonna come back and save us. All of you are gonna get eyes. Nobody's walking into the fucking desert. Like, I love how he immediately, and the people who are blinded are like, is that really Usul? Is that really him that's giving these orders? Like, yes, it's really me. I'm here. I'm blind too. Like, but I'm not blind. And then, that whole thing about how like he's supposed to walk into the desert if he honors the Fremen tradition, but he doesn't. But he's like, yeah, I'm not blind. I can see your thing. That whole scene is so fun.
It's so cool.
So good, so good. And of course, Ollie's like faith is shaken. Like I like how we see her kind of constantly second guessing herself. It's interesting. I think
There's this,
Anya Taylor-Joy was really good.
there's
Oh,
this.
yeah.
I'm excited to see her.
I trust her.
Yeah.
I like her.
Yeah, she's a very compelling character because it's like she is a reverent mother. She has the memories of this entire ancestry, and also she is a child.
Yeah.
And there's that like both of these things are true, and it's like really
When Hate calls her a child at one point, he says something to her, and he's like, something child. And she's like, don't fucking call me that. You know?
yeah. Paul and Aaliyah both in Dune Messiah talk often about prescience because people like Cheney, Stilgar, Irulan, they're constantly asking Paul and Aaliyah, did you see this? Is this foresight? And they're like, that's irrelevant. You don't, the fact that you're asking me that, like, it doesn't fuck foresight.
Yeah. The thing that he says about like, if I looked for the planet, it would mean that I couldn't find the planet. Like, and
Yeah,
they don't
that's good, yeah.
understand that, you know.
They talk so much about prescience in this one, and I feel like it is Frank Herbert, like they are having a hard time explaining it to people, and that also is Frank Herbert having a hard time explaining it to the reader. So there's a lot of dialogue about prescience, but not a lot is explained about it, and that's kind of his point is that they can't really articulate what it is that's happening. I think a good example of this is like when Paul loses his eyes, he is aware of certain things, but it's not exactly sight, right? He just kind of knows things about what's going on.
I was thinking, I think Paul and Alia both at certain points lose prescience. They like no kind
Yes.
Yeah. And she specifically realizes that she's like,
And I mean, she never really like
but does that
has the
imply,
ability to look into the future. per
yeah,
se.
it's because it's different for him and
She's-
for her.
she's
She
got
doesn't
all
have
the
what
past
he
memories.
has. Right.
does that
She's like
imply
ultimate
that it is a
context.
supernatural aspect?
Do I now say that?
Does that imply that it is a supernatural aspect?
Yeah, okay, I don't want to say yeah. I feel like that it implies that he specifically has something that like she doesn't have. Yeah, like,
But like, because like we go back to like the Benny Gesserit plan, they're like specifically breeding someone to be able to do this. So it almost sounds like it's a genetic trait.
well, yeah,
It's like this is an ability that certain
And
individuals
it
that's why
basically
he's
shows
so
up with generation.
shocked
Right.
that the kids have it.
but that he loses it, he has it and then loses it makes it sound like it's
He
still
doesn't lose
He
it.
loses it because he steps off the path.
Well,
He-
He
Paul.
passes it
He
down.
doesn't, he doesn't lose it though.
He does Paul has a point
He
later
says
on
where
he
he's
is
completely
actually
blind. Yeah, he says that he's now completely
because
blind.
that's why he has
Is
to
that-
see
is-
through the eyes of Leto because he can't see.
So that's
And then after he does that, he's completely lost.
So
it.
it's not like
that's
he's-
why he walks into the
it's
desert.
not like he's really lost presence. He's just not seeing
No.
this per se.
I
Do you
feel
think
like
he's actually just lost
yes,
his
so,
yes.
He-
I
he-
feel
he
like
passes
that's
it to
what's
his son.
implied.
His son
Yeah,
now.
yeah. Is that he?
because Leto gets and it's okay. that-
I think that's what I think he's saying is that he.
It's
he
definitely a
allows-
point where he is
onto it.
actually blind.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
allows himself to lose it.
and then he sees through Leto's eyes.
Because now he's the one. He's gonna take back the golden path and become the tyrant.
Right.
But that's why I can't see Lito until he's born.
Exactly.
so the prescience thing is more of a like fantasy supernatural thing, not a sci-fi thing that's not physical, based on how it works.
I think it's a little bit of both, and I think it's really heavily implied that it's a genetic kind of component that has happened through this wild combination of it's genetic alchemy.
Right, but like,
it's-
so then would it be something like when he lost his eyesight, it also mutated him slightly, and that's why he can't like
possibly.
otherwise there's not exactly a sci-fi explanation for why he would just lose it all. So,
Think about it this way too, right? Like, arguably, when you take like a psychedelic drug, right,
Right.
you're stripping a filter from the brain,
Yeah.
physiologically, right? So like, because all those layers of reality aren't useful to you in getting away from a bear,
right.
you know, or protecting yourself from other human beings or whatever. So like, he's tapping into something that is no longer useful to him at that point. It's not him that's following this particular thread.
Right,
That's
because
the way. That's the way I'm.
Okay, so like Depressions only refers to a specific threat.
Yeah.
So if you step away from that, you don't have connection to it because you literally, it's like you walked away from the threat.
Exactly, yes. Like,
Now-
if
now
he
it's
kept
time to
making
go.
the same moves to go along the path, then he would have stayed on the path. But like, once he lost his eyesight, then he was locked into a very specific path.
Because that's all you
Right.
can see. You don't
That's
see
all he
that.
could see,
Okay.
and he knew that, and he didn't want to accept that.
And then the moment his son is born, he loses
He realizes that like he can kind of pass it on, and he can also step off the path and not become.
So hypothetically, and maybe he couldn't because once he walked away from it, but there's sort of like a hypothetical he could return to the path and feel it again.
Possibly,
If that's- okay.
or contribute to where the path goes. And when you get into the next book, like, you kind of see what I mean.
Yeah.
But like, he still has a purpose, let's say. And the book heavily implies, I mean, even though he walks into the desert, like, they constantly are saying like, well, the desert could kill him. Like, I mean, Stilgar says it,
Right.
Duncan says it. You know, not to get spoilers or whatever, but yeah,
And no spoilers.
yeah, but I do think that at least what I took away from it is that in the end, he completely loses all presence. Like, and
It's
he
just,
sort of,
it's just passed on to.
yeah, and he makes the choice to do that in a way. I think he intentionally does.
Just lets it go.
Okay.
But the terrible thing is that he also consciously passes it on to his son.
Right.
He knows that,
He's passing the buck.
right, a little bit, a little bit.
You guys know about the lion thing?
The what?
The whole, the way alpha lions like. There's like an alpha lion and a pride or whatever.
Yeah,
But once he gets too old and weak or whatever,
Uh-huh.
he gets defeated by like the new young buck or whatever.
Yeah.
They really just walk off into the desert by themselves.
Oh.
That's an interesting comparison.
That's so cool, especially with like the lion Atreides
Yeah.
situation.
yeah,
Shit, man.
That's what.
That's really
Ah,
interesting.
shit.
That's what.
It's pretty good.
Now he has a son to uptake.
Yeah. Damn.
Okay.
Simba.
Okay, yeah, yeah. And I love how he names them in the immediate aftermath of him killing Saito. Like,
Yeah.
the second after he throws the knife in his eyeball, he's like, he will be Leto too, and she will be Gaima. And they're like, that's a terrible name. Don't name her that.
That's a bad omen.
Yeah.
And he says that's what her name is. She's a spoil of war.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, that is really, really.
I also want to point out, I didn't really notice this on my first read. It was Lacey who pointed this out because he did Dune and then immediately went into Dune Messiah. And like I was kind of like listening to the audiobook of Dune with him, and at certain points, and it is a huge like the first Dune, the magic stuff is like somewhat believable. Like you have the weirding speech, which is just an extension of charisma, an extension of like rhetoric, basically. It's like that taken to like a supernatural level, but still kind of rooted in reality. And then you have the mentats where it's like you can kind of imagine people developing these abilities if they didn't have.
Yeah, I mean, especially nowadays, all the AI shit.
And then Dune Messiah is like this crazy
Yeah.
leap
Oh yeah.
where it's like we are firmly in fantasy land now. You have
Yeah.
shapeshifters, which is just like a casual thing that everyone knows about.
Yeah.
The guild navigators are like really introduced, like they're talked about in the first one, but now you really see it.
People.
Yeah,
The accent.
Have
I don't
they
know
shown
what the
any
hell-
videos of that yet? Like, they look like-
No, they haven't showed.
they did it in the
just-
trailer actually.
They just showed the tank
But not that.
of like, I guess what Eldrick's gonna be. But you see him in the David Lynch movie. And honestly, he looks pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's actually like one of my favorite parts about the Lynch. You
Yeah.
actually get to see it go navigate.
Yeah.
Now, in the first film, they show them right in the scene where the Emperor comes and gives
That's
Leto.
not- I don't think that's supposed to be a navigator. I
The
think
ones,
that's just-
the ones that are in those white
No,
things
no.
with the spice, that
No.
orange shit inside is the spice. They're the guildsmen. They're not
They're
the
not
navigators.
navigators,
They're the guildsmen.
That's
Because
what
it
I'm
talks
saying,
about
they're
the dudes like bustling around Edric, and then Edric's kind of.
This
sitting in
guy's
the
of
middle.
like a what the
Yeah.
final stage guild.
Yeah, there's
leader.
like levels.
We've
to
not
it.
seen one
No,
of them.
no,
yet.
no. And it's
So like those guys, for
fucking
example,
hands
they
and
like
feet.
stay in the organization and could level up to one of those guys.
They
I
yeah, they
think
just
so.
eventually
Yeah.
do so much
If
spice.
they reach like Seawork,
such
Seawork,
yeah, that's what it is. It's such concentrated doses that
Yeah.
it eventually just like mutates their body
Right.
every time.
Yeah. Like in the
And they turn into like
around.
fish people.
Live in the
They
tank.
have to
Yeah.
like just live in this.
There
tank.
is,
Yeah.
there is a weird irony about them being fish people when the worms simply can't
Well,
have water.
And later on, there's a big, like, in this book, it talks about how his crown is the fish, and like, it's the fish and the what that says on his crown. Yes, specifically, there's a fish and something else on his crown. And then later on, like the Beta King become fish speakers.
Yeah.
Literally what they're called. Like his special forces are called fish speakers. Really, I think it has something to do with Caliban. But yeah,
But yeah, there's this like massive jump in like the sci-fi fantasy elements from Dune to Dune Messiah, where it's like Dune feels kind of realistic a little bit, and then Dune Messiah is like, whoa, this is like crazy.
It gets
powers
weird.
here.
And it just continues to get weirder from there.
Yeah.
That's
So
what I've
that
heard.
is-
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, like I've read a little bit of Children of Dune, like ghosts are introduced, and it's like that's kind of a thing with Messiah, but not quite. And
It's not cool.
I love how he sets it up. He hints at the abomination stuff. They
It's- yeah,
hint at the
it's,
possession stuff. Like they hint at the fact that if you remember all of these past lives, there's a danger that one of them could become incredibly strong and like come out of there and kind of take over. Like that's interesting.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of a combination of Alia and Duncan.
A little bit, yeah. But either of them could potentially happen. Now Duncan, not so much because it's not like he remembers other people's lives.
Right,
He
that's
just
a
remembers-
combination.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That was still the ghost of Duncan taking over the body.
In a way, yeah, and it's a really interesting thing to think about, like a clone body not knowing its own history, and then somebody else telling your history to you to unlock it, and like I don't know, that whole thing about the trigger memory and like they programmed him to do the one thing that like he couldn't do in real life or he wouldn't do, you know, and then it's like, well, how would you identify that in someone else? Like, I know the thing about Bijou is like in the end he thinks that he's gonna unlock his own memories once he sees that Duncan that it's worked for him. He's like, oh, I'll unlock my memories. I'll remember all my lives.
Yeah, it seems like a really hard treatment.
And then Dave and I were talking about on the way over here. You said you would love it in the film if they do that scene with Duncan and Paul and the dwarf in just complete blackness, where Paul says to Duncan, "Kill him before I tempt it again," and then you just hear Bijou's like, "No!"
that would be so cool.
You just hear this guy getting throttled like against a wall.
But I love how in the book he really points that out. It's like it was a hard enough temptation the first time. If I hear him ask again, I may not be able to even. And that aspect
And
of
he can
like
hear them marching Cheney down the halls, like she is about to.
Yeah.
They're about to take her.
that
out.
aspect of human fallibility, I really love with his characters because it's like I've been in situations where like I wanted to do the right thing, but I didn't. But I still knew what the right thing was, you know. And it's like he writes perfectly fallible characters.
It seems like a lot of the characters are the way that there are multiple things at once, or with that, where they have sort of inner conflict of being pulled towards faith, being pulled towards their emotions of what they want at the moment, and also trying to like decide for themselves what the correct path is.
The dichotomy of things.
So,
Yeah. I love all of Hate's kind of rationales, like how he answers the questions and those roundabout ways.
Sincerity, poetry, yeah.
And that philosophy that kind of leaks through. Like you can tell that Frank Herbert was clearly like interested in a lot of diverse topics as far as like, philosophy.
Yeah.
Apparently, one of his aunts had like studied with Carl Jung at one point.
Okay, that comes
by that and
yeah.
archetypes and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Another one of his, I guess it was his great grandmother, he described as a Kentucky illiterate who that's who he actually based the Mentat philosophy on. He said that she could do like complex calculations and shit, like nothing that she couldn't even read. So it was like that, and like he
so
based a lot of this stuff on like people that he
Actual
knew. Yeah.
This man has definitely experienced like the psychedelic drug homage.
Yeah.
Like when Aaliyah is
I think Herbert was like,
Big into mushrooms. Yeah.
did he actually do mushrooms?
Yeah, big into mushrooms.
Okay.
that
Other stuff too,
tracks.
but in fact, there's a story about him going to Mexico and eating cookies that were laced with hash from a Mexican general that was supposedly like the best hash in the world at the time. Like, because apparently, like when after he wrote the first book, he was like he wasn't good with taxes and this and that, so he was kind of, and he had a child with a girl when he was a kid basically, and and she was constantly chasing him for child support, so he would move around a lot. And like, apparently they moved to Mexico a bunch. Like he bought a secondhand hearse, and
Is
that
that
was
Brian?
like his main, like, yeah, when they were kids.
Is that why he wrote shitty
Little
books?
son.
Apparently
For
he-
not paying taxes.
Apparently
and
he was
giving
not a
money,
good
dude,
dad,
'cause he wrote
like,
something.
He had-
Bullshit
he had-
ass
He had
books,
2
dude.
sons. One
It's
of
his
them was
revenge,
gay.
it's his love.
It's
They were
just
actually
like, I'm
was
gonna
gay,
run
but-
your fucking beloved
Like, let's do a
franchise
random
forever.
Caladan trilogy.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
I have a second house anymore.
I will say,
You didn't pay child
Apparently
support.
Brian Herbert had a rough time with something.
I will say, just so y'all know, Dune in June continues forever. We're gonna do.
The Brian.
Y'all
I just
don't
wanna know what y'all
have
think.
to participate.
Not all of them.
And they don't have to be good, but we will do the right. And if all y'all want to do is shit on it the whole time,
Yeah.
that's fine. That's fine. They don't have to be good, but we are gonna do.
Give
we're
Brian,
gonna do
give Brian
all-
to show up on like Skype.
Probably.
June
Yeah,
actually
June is
dedicated-
gonna be
dedicated
We did Hunters and Sandworms. We get to the end. we
Yeah.
Do those 2 books, and then like by that point, it's like, yeah, we can get him on here. And kinda
You give
justify some of
Brian
his
a
choices.
Give Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the last Frank Herbert?
Chapter House.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did 6 of them.
I'm just gonna
And-
sit here for the Brian Herbert books and go, yuck.
Just, and
Yeah.
apparently,
'Cause he-
I
what do
didn't
you say?
realize this, but he literally finished Chapter House as a dying professor. He
Whoa.
wasn't gonna finish it as she was dying. She literally was like,
Oh,
you
wow.
have to finish it. Like,
Didn't she die before Heretics? Or when he was writing Heretics?
She died while he was writing Chapter House. So she died in like 82 or 3, I think, maybe. And then he literally died like 2.
Damn. Ah, okay.
Like almost a day.
While I'm thinking about it, it's kind of
Because he
funny,
never
like,
wrote anything else. Like, he finished Chapter House and he wrote a book with Brian.
There's like 3 book series I'm waiting on, like that'd be Game of Thrones, Name of the Wind.
Oh, dude. Neither one is.
And,
So, dude, it's I definitely like
Patrick
think,
Rothfuss is never
yeah,
finished.
I definitely think like George R. R. Martin's gonna just wait till he passes away in the area.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to smoke,
I guess
and I don't blame him. Yeah.
what I'm
That's
saying
actually
is like,
very scary.
Yeah.
it feels like we're waiting forever on Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
Name of the Wind, and there's another one called The Axe and the Throne that I really like.
Mhm.
That I'm like, wait, all of these authors have been waiting like a decade for them to do something,
Yeah.
or in the case of Game of Thrones, much longer. But it really puts it in perspective when you think about Dune, because like we have all of that because it's so old.
Yeah.
But imagine like being a Frank Herbert fan for those decades.
Yeah.
Like, so it kind of puts it in perspective. It's like that's kind of how like these epics go, you know?
One of the things that I didn't realize about Messiah until I did the research on it was written and came out right in the period when JFK was killed, MLK was killed.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, wow.
so there's a reason that it's very
Oh, like Leto
just
gets
dark. Yeah,
Yeah.
like a lot of the stuff in Messiah, the reason it's so kind of dark and whatever is like it was written something here.
I got you.
One of his parents died at the time, I think. Like,
right in like the heat of Vietnam.
Yeah,
Kid
like-
State, like all the crazy
not
shit.
kicked
Like,
off.
yeah.
And he was very
When did Messiah come out?
64 or 5 maybe.
Wow, let me get the copyright date.
Yeah, look at that.
69.
69.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
so
I
it
thought
was,
it
it was
I thought it
written,
was later.
it was
Yeah,
written
too.
during
Yeah,
like
69, and it was serialized.
It
It
was
was
written
Galaxy
63,
Magazine
63,
Yeah, because we gotta go a few years back as he's like.
writing it, but he's writing it like late 60s.
Right.
Like
Right.
in channeling.
Yeah, because Kennedy was 63, MLK was 63, and then like it was just
MLK was like
Yeah.
68.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Was it
MLK,
that
but
far?
it was MLK and RFK both.
That's right.
were like
68.
It was like RFK was like the Great Hope, and then
that's right.
yeah, and then got stuck with LBJ.
In
I
a
guess.
kitchen in a fucking hotel.
Yeah.
The RFK thing is so.
Yeah, it's
weird.
crazy. Oh my god.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I didn't realize it either, but he had written speeches for politicians in
Yeah.
the 50s.
Yeah, I read that in the introduction. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
like none of them were successful. They were all like failed politicians, but he had like a major like beef with like the Nixon thing, or whatever. It's like Nixon was the greatest president ever.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts about the Messiah?
Okay, so the stoneburner goes off, his eyes are burned out. The thing with the knife, that was all really, really great. That kind of climax.
I did want to say it's interesting that you bring up his wife dying and then passing out that long after.
Yeah.
It did stand out to me that it seems like Johnny dying was kind of false. Like I'm just gonna walk away.
Yeah.
That's
Like, I
a
don't care
weird
anymore.
foreshadowing for his life. Too,
Yeah.
'cause this one is the second book. Oh, that is weird. Holy shit.
Frank's wife had like a fairly big hand. in
She
the
was,
books.
yeah, she was his editor.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There's Paul's very emotional in Messiah also. There's like several points where he cries, and then after he loses his eyes, there's a part when he is with the two kids where it says he wants to he wishes to cry as his tear ducts are
Right, because he's just like cross sockets or
Yeah.
whatever.
But like Paul is like not having a good time inside, like
No,
throughout
he's
the
not.
entire thing.
Never.
It's pretty rough on him.
I mean, because he knows Chani's being poisoned from the off. Like,
And he knows.
yeah, and he's letting it happen
Yeah.
because he doesn't want her to
He
die.
wants her to
like,
survive.
it's so fucked up.
There's a lot of things he's hiding from her for protection.
I do enjoy Irulan's turn, even though it is just like a paragraph, and it's like, oh, by the way, Irulan feels really bad. She swears she loved him. And
Oh yeah, that's right. Right at the end, that kind of felt like really forced. That last chapter, I think, cared for too much.
yeah,
Like that last conversation with Aaliyah and Duncan
yeah,
felt really forced to me. And then also, it's like, oh, by the way, Irulan, after Paul's death, decided that she like is super in love with him, and also she's gonna raise his kids.
and she's gonna leave the Bene
No,
Gesserit.
no,
He
but-
says you trust her, and she says she reeks of trustworthiness.
No, but Alex, that was foreshadowed in book 1.
This is true.
Irulan.
The other thing I
A lot of
really
the
love.
experts in book Dune 1, she's the actual like writer.
Oh yeah, the
She's-
history.
yeah.
The history.
Oh, the one for it?
She's all
Yeah.
the
She writes the
extras
history.
started
She's
it.
almost like an apostle for Paul, and actually writes like the religious text of
And that's why she does like the voiceover in the
movie,
part two,
yeah.
and especially in the Lynch movie. She's
Yeah.
like the first person you see.
I do really like Irulan. I guess that last scene was just kind of like, oh, by the
Yeah.
way, she was super in love with him and is gonna raise his kids.
Yeah. I do like the last scene though, specifically, and I highlighted this, and I hadn't really remembered this time back to it, but where he's talking to her, Duncan and her, and he says the whole universe, like, Aaliyah says he was a fool. Duncan says, don't say that. She says the whole universe would say it before I heard. He says, why for the love of heaven? She says, for the love of my brother, not of heaven. And then it says, then Sunni inside dilated his awareness. He could sense that there was no vision in her, had been none since Chani's death. Practicing odd love, he says. And she says, love, Duncan, he had but to step off the track. What matter that the rest of the universe would have come shattering down behind him? He'd have been safe and Chani with him. And Duncan says, then why didn't he? And she says, for the love of heaven. Like, that is really an interesting statement that she's like, he understood that he had to like suffer and let all these other people suffer. Again, the golden path for the love of
The
heaven.
Messiah thing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like,
In a
he
lot of
did the
ways.
thing that was at his detriment
Yeah.
because he loved humanity.
That for the love of heaven, I hadn't really.
That's great.
Yeah,
So much of that one in particular, I'm like, wow, that's beautiful. Said.
he does really fucking wrap up the Irulan thing in like 2 paragraphs.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
Yeah,
Very
Bene Gesserit
shoehorned
with
in
no
at
remaining
the end.
lever against the Atreides, and Duncan's like, cool, good,
Yeah,
problem
alright.
solved. Like,
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, oh, by the way, Duncan killed, or Stilgar killed the Reverend Mother. He
Yeah,
killed.
yeah. All these
Edric.
really dad's good.
Do you guys ever think about that? Frank Herbert is the originator of the like. Would you still love me if I was a woman?
Oh, maybe so.
Oh my
maybe
God.
so. I love this
Man.
quote too that Stilgar makes, and I hope they put this in the film. He will not be found, yet all men will find him. Like, that's a really good. Like if they keep kind of Stilgar's character intact as far as like he's still sort of a fanatic. They did such a good job in the first 2 movies of that, where that scene where he's like, of course he says he's not the Messiah. That means he's the Messiah.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
Fucking brilliant.
Ultimate, yeah. Ultimate believer.
He is super deified at the end when he walks into the death, never to be seen, never to be seen again.
Yeah, and they do. They make a point of saying that he's like solidified his place as the martyr of the Fremen
Yeah.
because he did that. Like if he hadn't done that, they would have fragmented. But now they can't deny it. I do love this line too at the very end where it says, "Judgment strategy." The Atreides called it in their training language. People are subordinate to government. but the rule influenced the rules. So like that idea that the Atreides ruled from versus like the Arcanine with just suppression, like y'all were saying earlier about the different. He's so good about outlining these like kind of different philosophies.
Let's start to wind it down. Any other Dune Messiah things anyone wants to talk about?
Well, Frank Herbert, that's it.
I respect the move for doing Messiah. I like what he did with Paul's character. I can understand why a lot of people were upset with it, but I think it's a bold turn for the protagonist. Also, I really like the final sort of showdown, if you will, between Paul and Seitel. When Seitel's making him the offer, bring back Johnny, he's trying to get the worm. I like that aspect. I like Seitel as a villain. I think he's a good villain. Very weird. I like the introduction of the Twilight Sue and like where that goes from there. I think that's a cool aspect of the universe. But I think the main point of Messiah is to sort of subvert the hero's journey. And I think at the end of the day, you either expect that and like that, or you're like, come on, man, give me the happy ending. I want to see, whatever.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see because like if the movie's gonna come out, it's a big blockbuster. Are people gonna? I think you mentioned this earlier, right? Are people gonna
it's not gonna be Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, are people gonna be like, or is it gonna have a similar response to like The Last Jedi, which subverted the hero's journey even in like a lesser way compared to Dune Messiah, or people like just the way the world is more cynical?
I think they understand more now.
I hope so too. I really hope so too.
Also, I think
I
Luke
hope people-
Skywalker is one of those dudes where it's like, maybe you shouldn't do that with him because, like, everyone loves Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
He's a beloved figure, and
Well, and I think just like I don't know, like getting out of like fiction
he's
world,
not
but like
Paul Atreides.
But
It's not-
like Timothy Chalamet is a little, I don't know. This is personality. Is a little
Punchable.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and like, dude, I think in part two
Yeah.
they do a really good
Yeah.
job of portraying the turn. Sort of like I think they do a better job in part two than maybe Frank Herbert did in the book of actually being like, yo, this is not the good guy.
Yeah.
Both him and his mom,
Yeah.
they're both fucking
They are
nuts.
taking
Like,
advantage
they're-
of the
They're
situation.
taking advantage and they're gonna unleash something on the universe that's never been seen before.
Yeah.
It's gonna dramatically alter the course of humanity.
But again, it's that argument of like, is the status quo better? Because at the time that the whole thing goes down, like the reason that Leto is killed is because of all this bullshit maneuvering and blah 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 and backstabbing.
Same shit,
And he's only killed because he's become too popular. Like the Emperor's ego's hurt, like a little bitch. Like, and I don't disagree with it at all. Like it's an interesting thing where Paul's like, I'm gonna tear this whole fucking thing down.
And he does.
And he does, and then he's like, I also know where this needs to go. Man, I really want into this. And then it's like, it's this constant kind of back and forth, his internal monologue. Really,
Also, always got the impression
but he's very
that like
courageous.
basically it's like the toothpaste is out of the tube and there's no putting it back in. Like, and taking down the Empire, he's finally gotten the Fremen off planet, and so they're just going to all the most savage, deadliest warriors in the Imperium, right? So he's basically, not only that, they're religious fanatics who, for the most part,
Worship
believe
him.
that the guy who has, like, he has fulfilled the prophecy of their eyes. They've seen this in lifetime. So now they're going to kill for him, and it's almost like the mob aspect.
Yeah.
They're such religious fanatics that he can't tell them otherwise at that point.
Right.
Like they,
Every single time he tries to kind of talk Stilgar down specifically, you see how that would extrapolate to all the Fremen, where he's like, look, man, I
It's
can't
also like-
actually see
like
the future.
mob
I can just
mentality.
kind of-
It's like so many
Cheney,
people
too.
are.
yeah, even she doesn't really.
He's like, I
understand.
don't want to do this, and she's like, you're doing this.
Yeah.
Which is a total deviation in the movies where she's like against the prophecy, where it's like in the first Dune, like Cheney's all about it, like
Yeah,
pushing
she's
him
his
down.
ride or die in the first place.
Yeah.
It'll be, we'll be curious to see how he brings that back.
You're really doing it.
I got one more quote before we end. The part where hate, like the actual moment where like Paul says she's gone, and in the goal of her the words will have a blazing corona. They burn this the knife in his belt, and his own thinking became strange and disjointed. And then he literally, the knife came up to strike, and in that instant, he grabbed his own voice and shouted, "Run, young master, run." The young master part is like where he calls him that. And then Paul says, "We will not run. We move with dignity. Do what must be done." Like that sense of like, destiny and duty. It's like, yeah, we're fucked, but we're still gonna do this. It's just, I don't know, it's really powerful.
In that final showdown with him and Saito too, he's like, "I'm not gonna bargain with you," and he's like, "You haven't even heard what it is." He's like, "I know what it is." And then they keep talking, and then he's like, "Aaliyah, bargain with it. I can't bargain with something I can't see." And he asks Aaliyah to bargain with Saito because he's not actually bargaining with him. He's trying to think of a plan. He's trying to remove himself from the thing. But I like that. I like that line a lot. He's like, I can't bargain with someone I can't see. Because he's like, getting to that room. They're taking him to the nursery, and he trips several times because he is actually blind now. And he's like, "Yeah, I mean, Aaliyah, you deal with this. I'm not."
And at that point, he's lost his presence at that point, right?
Yeah.
He's already.
Well, he hasn't. He's about to. He sees through the eyes of the kid at this point, but it's like
And
it's
that's-
become so narrow that like that's kind of all he can see.
Right.
Because even then, he's blind in the room. He doesn't know where he is, and then all of a sudden, like Leto calls out to him and says, "Father, like look through my eyes." And then that's when he kind of does.
Because up until then, he's blind. He's physically blind, but he's able to.
Right. Yeah. Like he
Call
can- as
someone
long as
out
he
and have
stays
like a
on
smudge
his
on their
path.
uniform. Because
Yeah.
it's like he's seen this already.
Right. As long as he stays on his specific path.
Right.
It's kind of like if you're seen Donnie Darko, like
Yeah.
the thing with the thing coming out of his
Yeah,
chest.
yeah,
It's like that. Like if you stay on your path, then you're good. But then he knows that.
any deviation.
Mhm.
Yeah, script, yeah.
Script can't do it.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I love this.
Yeah,
one. I love this.
I'm
one.
so glad to talk to you guys about it specifically after all these years too, because like you two specifically, this is one of the first things that like outside of music that we bonded over, just standing around at the bar. And it's like, wait, you're in Dude, like what?
Oh yeah, we had a few like
Dude,
up until 5 or 6 a.m. talking about Dune.
Seriously, yeah.
It's funny, like when I was scheduling this one, I was like, these three in particular, like I got to make sure that they're all available.
Lines up, yeah.
Yeah, I really wanted to read it before the film because I have heard a lot of people been like, "Yeah, don't read the later books; they're so weird." And like, but like, fuck y'all.
I like it.
Oh,
Fuck
they
y'all.
are.
Y'all, whoever
Oh,
said
they're
that, y'all
weird.
basic. Y'all basic.
They do be weird.
Yeah.
I mean,
We're
dude,
going
wait till you get to God.
God Emperor,
Seriously.
dude, honestly,
That's
my
favorite one.
God Emperor is for sure arguably the best book in the whole fucking.
Is it the
series.
longest
Yeah.
one too?
Yeah, I think it is actually.
Dude, it never
It
ends. It
might
just keeps
be.
going.
And it is just like the first 125 pages or so, action packed dope. The last like 100. Honestly, it might be my favorite ending in any sci-fi book. Like the ending is fucking awesome.
It's really
so
good. It's
dope.
really good.
And like, I don't know if there's ever been a more like, doom metal ending to a sci-fi story than what's in God Emperor. It's like, bro, you could have that as a music video with Sleep playing in the background.
Hell yeah. Dude, Sleep just
But
released a new
basically,
song, by the
like,
way.
for
and
like
it's really
it's like
good.
what, I don't know, 600 pages in between that
Yep.
of just
Mm,
philosophy and
Philosophy.
people wondering
Awesome.
if he has a penis.
yeah, and him basically saying,
That's actually a thing.
does it matter if I have a penis?
Yeah.
I'm a fucking god.
Was any other Dune Messiah comments?
Show us what's
Did
next
you guys
month.
give it a rating or anything like that?
10 out of 10. Like legitimately, not even like the series as a whole. Dune Messiah, one of my favorite things I've ever read.
One of the
I
best
love it.
rereads of all time. My first
Yeah.
read,
I think I'm gonna like it way better.
I remember being like 18 years old and
I've read
reading it directly after Dune and not liking it.
Yeah.
And now it's so.
I've read it 3 times, and I liked it the first time I read it. Every time I've read it, I like it.
Oh, for sure.
I
Yeah.
think I literally wasn't mature enough to understand. I'd never been exposed to a heroic figure in a story I was into being deconstructed, number one, and number two, like being fallible. Like I was used to Luke Skywalker as an 18-year-old.
And that's cool. Like I like
Sure.
Luke Skywalker story. I
Sure.
think that's cool.
But this
It's
is
just not
this is growth.
well-
This is reality.
And man, I grew up with the prequels, man. I had like I had like My Hero doing the, I mean, I watched the old ones first, of course, but like, My Hero, genociding the sand people. Like,
Dude, I saw
Yeah.
episode
Slaughtered them like animals. The women and the children too.
definitely some attack of the like Lucas tried.
Did he try? Because that dialogue is really bad. Like
He
AI
just doesn't know.
maybe
He
could've
just
done
doesn't
better
know how.
how people speak.
Yeah, well, he even brought in like Tom Stopper as like a script doctor,
Which is
for
crazy.
Phantom Menace.
Yeah, like I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense.
But he
like,
probably didn't take his suggestions.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
like he didn't take his notes. It's like, I wrote on Broadway. Lucas is like, yeah,
But apparently
Gungan.
Stoppard wrote a lot of Last Crusade though. Like they actually used his
that makes sense.
like they
really, I didn't know that.
yeah.
No way. I did. I did Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. when I was
Yeah,
in
he's
high
so
school.
good. Yeah, because his archive, because like I work at archives and like they got his archives at like UT Austin with the oil money, and they were
No way.
after he passed away, they were digging into it and stuff.
That's great.
I'd love
So,
to see it in person.
not to get off track real quick, but Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are from Hamlet, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Lion King won that.
Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah.
It's
Dune Messiah going once. Dune Messiah going twice.
I got one more for you.
no,
I knew you did. I knew you did.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I just got one more.
That's why I asked. That's why I asked. I'm here for it. I just want to make sure.
I love the
One more
Tilaxu like hearings and stuff that head up each chapter. But this is my favorite from the Tilaxu God book is what it says.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
GODBUK. It says no matter how exotic human civilizations become, no matter the development of life and society, or the complexity of the machine-human interface, there always come interludes of lonely power in the course of humankind. The very future of humankind depends on the relatively simple actions of a single individual. Yeah, very interesting.
Amen.
The philosophy and the religion of the Twi'lek as the books go on.
Really cool.
Pretty cool and interesting.
I'm very excited
But we're not gonna talk
to
about
read
that.
the rest of the
Yes.
series with you guys. Join us again next June for Dune. Dune in June.
Dune in June. Dune in June.
But before that,
We're doing Christopher Mornet.
before that,
Oh,
yes,
Cool.
next month we're reading Shakespeare for Squirrels.
Sweet.
This is
Which I've never read.
Shakespeare for Squirrels.
Quite the follow-up to Dune Messiah.
Very different, I'm sure.
I'm familiar with
But I'm a
that.
people.
yeah,
This sell well like Cook Scroll.
And
Wait, just one last thing, sorry.
yes,
Yeah, write down your name and then pass it down.
Oh,
It's just
a
in
lottery.
between D4.
I have to pay you do your lottery, your gambling.
It's between us for it.
Yeah, and it would be unfair if it's like the
Dude.
host or also part of the game.
This is so cool, by the way. Hey, I hadn't felt this yet. That's fucking wild.
Basically, the way it's gonna work is the first name I draw, they get to pick which one they want, and then second name gets the other one.
between the knife and the salmon.
Yeah.
Just
That's a rough choice.
that's hard. Shit, I could put the salmon.
How does one transport the sample?
Oh, I have a box for it.
Back.
I have a box for it.
It's got it the same, man. It's good to go.
And the thing is, even if,
Actually, get all over my car.
even if the sand gets in the box, you can just scoop the sand from the box and just like
That is really cool. And that's what we didn't really get into is the idea that they stole a worm, that they took a worm off planet. And Paul says, he's
Yeah.
like specifically, he's like, yeah, they have one. They took a worm, they took it off
That's
planet, and that's another kind of
Cause,
plot point.
yeah,
that he
because I know in the
introduces here.
future books, crazy sandworm shit.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I've
Yes,
heard, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
first draw. Logan.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna take it to sandworm.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Our
Thank you
second
so
draw.
much.
Will.
Hell
Oh.
yeah.
Gets a knife.
Get that knife.
You
All right.
got-
Thank
got the
you.
truth of Shai-Hulud. Hell yeah.
Hell
Yeah.
dude.
Hell yeah. Who got
I got the sandworm.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
That's awesome.
Shit, I'm doing a grid pose.
This is a good one.
Yeah, thanks again, David, for this awesome.
Yeah, dude, thank you.
So sick. You did such a
So you have a
great
box for it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna end it if everyone.
Yeah,
Done?
yeah, we're good.
Yeah,
Thanks
good.
for
That's
coming.
good,
Thanks for
man.
talking
Yeah,
about Dune
shit is
Messiah,
late.
and we'll see
Wow.
you next.